Hello, everyone, and welcome back to House Rivalries Week 3. It is now getting to the nitty-gritty about who's going to make it to the top 12. We have 3 confirmed so far. It is Nordavin, unsurprisingly, Ents, and Attack Mode, which was the NA champions, moving on over to the EU servers now. With me today, we have the people that are going to be helping us figure out who are going to be the ones going to 5-4 record in the Swiss, trying to fight for those tiebreaker spots, and who are going to be getting that 6 round wins to be able to qualify automatically for the top 12. It is none other than Lorinda and Sid. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, doing fantastic. Thanks for having us.
Yep, doing good. Recovering from a long night of watching Hearthstone. Ready to watch some more Hearthstone. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Especially looking at the names we've got at the top of this Swiss. It's going to be pretty exciting few hours while we work out who gets to that 9 matches, the 6 and 3 required.
I couldn't agree more. So, starting out, we do have Epic Esports versus Uvesville, which are both, I believe, currently in the records right now. If I go ahead and take a look real quick at the Swiss, is going to be about the record of 3-3. Yeah, so they're working on trying to get either at least 2 or 3 more wins. So they got a little bit of a journey ahead of them, but they're ready, and they do have quite the roster. Lorenzo, do you want to talk about Epic real quick first?
Yeah, Epic's a team I've sort of had an eye on for some time. I think people who watch a lot of sort of the very top Hearthstone, the HCT, miss some of these smaller teams, but Epic have got Blaine, they've got Zananananan, Deep Blue 7, Denim Blue 7. This is why I do not watch chess and Hearthstone at the same time. Lights, Elfandor, and Kawamizu. And all of those players were regulars on the HCT tour, and superb players go. I mean, Zananananan is probably the name player, but Blaine coached me for a while last year. Denim Blue is very highly regarded on the circuit. Lights, she had some good results at various dream hacks, and Elfandor is Elfandor. He's really well known for lots of tweets and lots of opinions.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a very gentle way of putting it. And let's before we move on to Uvesville real quick, do you want to talk about any highlights about the deck, or does this seem everything's pretty much fair to middling?
In the case of Epic, I think everything's fairly straightforward. They've got the 4 good classes in Hearthstone lined up. They've got Rogue, Warrior, Hunter, Mage. They're playing the spell version of the Mage, I believe, which nobody can play. So it's really interesting to see how they play that.
Fair enough. And
sorry?
Yeah, no. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, that's it for me.
No, that's fair enough. And
on Epic.
Well, that's a good enough summary of Epic. And Uvesville, I know it's a little less of more of an unknown team, but Cinder, let's talk about them and their decks.
Yeah, I mean, now the one thing that I'll point out immediately about Uvesville is they're one of the first teams in-house rivalries to bring a paladin, and it's not what you think. I think if you say paladin, most people are gonna say secret paladin, secret mech paladin. No, this is a holy wrath paladin. We are turning back the clock, Bemmy, and we are looking at Shirvala, Baleful Bankers, and Holy Wrath to try to do 50 damage in one sitting, which is interesting. The Epic does have a warrior in the deck, which is kind of what Holy Wrath kind of wants to target, but they're not. They do not have an Elysiana strategy. Epic does not in their warrior deck, so this may not play out the way Uvesville wants it to, but I still want to see this deck in action. Otherwise, their decks are actually fairly unfavored against Epic's lineup. You have the Mech Hunter with all the bombs being generated. They also have a Bomb Warrior, and they have a Chef Nomi Lackey Rogue. But none of these decks are very well lined up against Epic's lineup, which is a pretty standard tier 1 lineup for Conquest. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull out a win here.
It will be very, very interesting. So in that case, just going over predictions before we send it over to the casters, it is going to be, are we feeling Epic is going to be able to take this and get that first win that they need to at least qualify for the tiebreakers?
I mean, I think so. I'm a bit of an Epic fan, so I don't have a choice in the matter. Blaine will stop talking to me, as will several of the others. And I need him. He helps me so much with decks, so yeah.
Fair.
I'm biased, but also just looking at the matchups, I do think that Epic will get this done.
That's fair enough. Is the same for you, Cinder?
I think so, and I also want to add that if you're looking at raw numbers, if you're looking at lineup charts, the spell mage or cyclone mage, whatever whichever you'd like to call it, is deceptively underfavored on the charts. If you know how to play this deck can do absolutely anything you want it to do, and I would not be surprised if Epic has spent some time with this deck to know exactly how to vector out all of its various win conditions. So keep an eye on that deck. I think it'll be interesting to watch today.
That's fair enough. Well, if that's the case, it looks like this is a very Epic favored desk. I look at the numbers and I say that Epic is probably going to win this, but you never know with the Q order. Sometimes it does mess up those statistics time to time, but you know who doesn't mess up? Our wonderful casters going over on the caster's desk. It is none other than the dynamic, wonderful glasses wearing duo, Rebobson and Greenshoe. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Bemi. Gonna be a pleasure to get into this match right now. So I think the analysts touched on their green sheep. How are you, by the way?
I'm great. Just rushed home to cast this one, but feeling okay once we get into it. But as the analyst said, it seemed very Epic favored in their opinion, but I do feel like it's going to be a closer affair than they think it will be. Since looking at the Epic Esports' Warrior deck, like sure they have the Azalina Soul Thief to try steal away the Elysiana for the mirror, but I feel like if you're good at the mirror, yeah, you can easily avoid that, and I think that maybe even the Warrior will have a bit of trouble against what Uvespil has.
Yeah, I think that's pretty valid. The some of the deck construction from Epic is, well, particularly in the Warrior, it's quite interesting, really. Like like you say, they have Azalina. They do not have either Elysiana or Baleful Banker, so they are just going to try and steal it away and win the mirror in that way. But I also kind of want to talk about Ylvespil. Might be saying that wrong. Their deck construction seems a little bit at odds with their kind of ban strategy. They've banned away Epic's Rogue, while Ylvespil's Mech Hunter was banned away. But Ylvespil have a lot of anti-rogue tech in all of their lists. Like the Holy Wrath Paladin, it's still kind of running the Christology package with the obviously Christology draw 2 1 attack minions from a deck, and it pulls 2 Bloodsail Corsairs. If that's not designed to hit Rogue, what's it there for?
I mean, Rogue, I guess, is the main target, but it's actually also quite good against Bomb Warrior. People are running that to get rid of the bomb weapon. But as you said, Rogue's definitely what they're looking to target, and it is quite weird that they banned it away.
Yeah, just looking at some other of the techs in there. They've also got the Wisps in the Lackey Rogue. What do you make of that particular deck building decision?
I personally have only been playing the Wisp version. I feel like in the mirror, it's very good if you're not on the coin, since you can go Wisp into Raiding Party or Wisp into Miscreant. But since they did ban it away, then it definitely gets worse. Since you're not going to be hitting the mirrors, and you're mainly going to be hitting more control style decks, where you'd rather have like a card that has more impact than a Wisp.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So we're going to get right into game number 1, Mr. Sheep. It's going to be Epic on the mid-range Hunter with Ylvespil on their Lackey Rogue. Now, this particular matchup, it's pretty close, I think. The secret package is like the kind of the best thing against Lackey Rogue, because they really can't deal with secrets in any kind of impactful way, because they don't really do much until turn 3 or 4. But this list does not run secrets, it's more just the kind of Dire Frenzy, Vicious Scale Height, play big beasts kind of list. We've got a Stranglethorn Tiger in there, which is always nice to see. And the Lackey Rogue there, just playing a turn 1 Wisp.
Yeah, I mean, it does a good job contesting the 1-1, I guess, but other than
in
that...
like one of the saddest plays I've seen for a long time. But yeah, it does contest the links, which they know is in hand. But if there was a Scavenging Hyena just in the mid-range hunter's hand, then this would get very bad very fast for the rogue.
Yeah, it'd be actually
Looking at this
devastating.
hand, it is very underpowered for the rogue. Chef Nami in the opening hand is never what you want to see, and it's one reason that we see a lot of people saying it's perhaps not the best card in the deck. Personally, I'm a big fan, but this is not the matchup for it by any means.
Yeah, it's definitely not the matchup for it. Though, you are on coin, and I've had a lot of scenarios where we're just keeping this coin until turn 6. Hopefully, we draw this Myra's card. We prep that out on like turn 5. On turn 6, we coin the Chef Nomi out, and normally that wins the game. I mean, the Hunter has no way of dealing with all the 6/6s like other decks have.
I would agree that playing an active Chef Nami on turn 7 often wins you games of Hearthstone. That's some top tier analysis right there.
Well, we're only missing one card.
It's true, but it is a very important card, and it is a one-of in the deck.
Yeah.
But looking at what they have in hand right now, the Backstab, again, not the most impactful card. They really need either the Miscreant or the Raiding Party to get this hand going, or the Myras to just go for that kind of Nami win condition. Because right now, this is just a whole lot.
Thankfully enough, Hokage did pick up the
Now
Backstab SI for this Animal Companion.
But that was a fantastic pickup of the Shimmer Flare there. The Mark Shot, which can probably play, which is assuming that an SI7 comes down this turn. It's kind of weird that Huffer was it. I think they would have actually liked to see either Leok or Misha there, just so that they could get a bit of value from this SI7 agent and not take 4 to the face. Because this randomly generated Mark Shot just gonna play perfectly on curve. And the Zul'jin in hand with the Unleash the Beast as well means that if the Hunter does get to that stage of the game, Rogue's not going to be able to do anything, and it's looking more and more like a Myra's game or bust for the Rogue, because the second prep off the top on the last turn, pretty dreadful.
It's not great. I think we definitely need the Myras or the Raiding Party as soon as possible. We just want to cycle through the deck as quickly as possible to hit like the cards we want. The Raiding Party does a really good job of cycling.
Yeah,
Draw 3 cards, pretty good.
Draw and the Backstab off the top.
So
This is rough.
we're gonna have to Waggle's pick here and just start hitting him in the face and hope we draw a lot of damage. I don't think we're gonna win the game.
Yeah, Leroy off the top
Board
would not
control
be
at the
bad in
moment.
this position. But
Yeah,
the
it
Hunter
would
picks
be.
up the Vicious Scalehide, so if any minions go down on the Rogue side and the Dire Frenzy comes off the top, then the Hunter's going to be able to heal for a fairly ridiculous amount of health. But conversely, because the Rogue isn't doing anything, the Hunter also can't really do anything either.
Yeah,
So they
Hunter's
want
one
to
of
be-
those aggro decks that's very reactive.
Yeah, it's almost kind of tempo based. They like clearing your opponent's stuff and developing something in the meantime. They don't really like actually pressuring. Like if they had their one copy of Stranglethorn Tiger, they would probably be very happy to just jam that down right now. But
So this turn there's 1 play or 0 plays. We can go Backstab SI, hit face, and then SI again, clear the whole board, or we can pass.
yeah,
There's
that's
not
pretty
much
much it.
going on.
And the double SI is just going to take out the scale 5. They want to make sure that the Hunter doesn't even heal for 1, but also clearing the scale hide so that a top deck Dire Frenzy doesn't completely punish them. But what is going to punish the Rogue is this. Well, there was the Dire Frenzy. If that scale hide was still alive, this would be going from bad to worse for the Rogue. But Unleash the Beast on 6 against the 3/3. Pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, the Hunter really just doesn't have to do anything. Like, once he gets to turn 10, the game's pretty much over. I mean, the game's looking pretty bad already, but
Yeah, the 1-drop South Sea deckhand is not the kind of big impact card that the Rogue was looking for. And this has been a pretty spectacularly bad set of draws for the Rogue.
yeah. And though the deckhand does clear the 5 too, I guess that's the one shining light.
And well, would you say that there's maybe some merit to the idea that they built this kind of deck with double Wisp, with double Sap, with Nomi? Is this bad luck, or would you say that there is an element of they're being punished a bit for the deck's construction and then banning your opponent's rogue?
There is a bit of that element, but I'm not sure what would be replacing the Wisp actually in this deck. It'd probably just be like another. I mean, I guess they could have put in a copy of Sprint in their deck, but instead of the Wisp. But this is the game plan going ahead. They wanted to go for the Wisp version. I'm guessing for the rogues, but yeah, it's surprising they banned that out. So I guess it isn't an element of their deck building coming back up.
The tempo, and you don't ever want this play to happen.
Yeah.
And because
I feel like I'm not sure. I think that the only time we win this game is that we have to draw Myra's next turn and hold on to the Nomi, and hopefully pick up the one of Sap.
I do agree that Nomi was probably the only win condition at this point. I think the Hunter was there looking for Springpaw and Scavenging Hyena to just kind of generate one big threat while killing off this Nomi. But instead, we're just going to use double Timberwolf Springpaw, push 7 to the face,
And
say go.
it has to be Myra's at this point. I don't see anything.
And even with the Myras, there's just a moderately wide board at this point. They don't run a single copy of Fan of Knives, so these walls are just going to do quite a lot of work.
Yeah, I think as the rogue, he can survive one extra turn here, but once again, I'm not seeing any way out. I mean, maybe Myra's still would be okay here, since your opponent is on 14 HP. You just need one turn to stabilize, and then the next turn you can kill him off. So it's just Myra's or nothing.
And is there lethal here with double Unleash the Hounds, Rapid Fire, Hero Power? I think there is, yes.
Yes.
So one hound goes
so.
into the 3/3 taunt, one of the twin spells will, and one hound will kill the Dread Corsair, and then the Hero Power should finish it off.
Yep, it's
No, it is actually one
oh,
off.
it's one mana off lethal, yes.
Either 1 damage or 1 mana off. Touching the hound and the hero power, but it's still not the worst position to be in as the
Though,
hunter.
if there was a Myra's and this board was cleared, there was a chance for the rogue, but no Myra's,
I
unfortunately.
mean,
and
it was then
that's
going
the
into
game.
a turn 10 Zul'jin, which had double Unleash the Beast, double Unleash the Hounds, an Animal Companion, a Master's Call, plenty of juice in that Zul'jin, and the rogue just didn't get anything there.
Yeah, it was a
so-
pretty depressing game on their side. Not much to say about it.
Yeah, we've all had many of those games of Rogue where you just like, I know this deck is really good, but it really doesn't feel like it right now. Because that's just always been the thing with Rogue. The games where you draw double prep and no spells, you're kind of just like...
Sometimes it's okay if you do draw an Edwin early on. You just throw out those preps
Prep.
off the Edwin.
Yeah.
There wasn't
that
even
was...
at this point.
Yeah, there were no kind of... no synergies. Now we are getting back to the second game, Mr. Sheep, and
I'm not excited.
buckle in. You're not excited for this?
Definitely not. Though only
It's-
one deck has the Azalina Belfabanka combo. One has sorry, I mean
Lysiana.
Yeah, Lysiana.
The other has
Belphegor,
Azalina.
The other has
So-
Azalina. So we might not
Two-
see a turn timer game if the Azalina completely whiffs.
Yeah, plus it is a... I find Bomb Warrior Mirrors do have a tendency to go a lot faster than a Control Warrior Mirror.
Yeah, usually one person has all the tempo and they just beat the other guy down, to be honest.
Yeah, and Epic are looking like they've got a pretty good tempo hand right now, but to be fair, so do Yulvaspel. and it's going to be kind of bombs on bombs for this game. And you do variate, and that is the draw.
I feel like Epic's hand is actually the perfect hand, because being on the coin, you can coin out the augmented Elic, and going into turn 3, there's not really an answer for it. It's basically gonna survive for sure, and then they're gonna follow up with the Clockwork Goblin as well as the Wrench Caliber.
Yeah, there's... I think they would be 100% thinking about coiling the Elic until they drew Dr. Boom this turn. That has given them food for thought, because now it's, well, do we coin the Elic, get the maximum bombs, or do we coin out Boom and win in that way? Because both are pretty good lines, I'd say. And I'm not really sure what to go for myself. Personally, I think I'd go for the coin Elic, but it looks like they are going for the coin Boom on 6 instead. Because even if they hold onto the coin, from turn 3 onwards, they've still got a fantastic curve. Yeah. If you play Elic on 3, it still doesn't die to your opponent's Wrench Caliber, because it's 4 health versus the 3 attack, and it's very difficult for the warrior opponent to kill it without using something like a Shield Slam, which they often don't really want to be expending this early on.
But that being said, they have given up the initiative to their opponent.
It's fine, because they've got the initiative right back. Epic's hand is just fantastic, and they're not even going to play out the Elic. Okay, we talked about how this game could had the possibility to go fast. It does look like both teams are intending to grind this one out.
Yeah, so... I think with their line of play, hero powering on turn 2 means they're going to save the whole combo, the Augmented Elic, the Clockwork Goblin, and the Wrench Caliper for turn 10 to allow 6 bombs in the deck. Or 4 bombs.
I would agree with you there. So that's probably a better line of... I think if they know that their opponent does not have Elysiana, so if they save that for the end of the deck, it's just going to be guaranteed so much damage, and I assume that Epic... Oh wait, no, sorry.
Yes, the other way around.
Your Vessel are the ones with Elysiana. So, interesting to see how they're going to do the bombs. Speak of the devil, there is the Elysiana. And really not very much is happening. What do you make of the decision to kind of play very... They were not playing for tempo at all, but they still played an Omega Devastator for tempo.
I feel like... I'm not quite sure. I think you have to play something at that point, like the Omega Devastator. It's not great in the matchup. I mean, it's fine, because it kills a minion, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be a 4-5 anytime.
Yeah, I guess what Epic are also thinking is with Dr. Boom in their hand, mechs become a lot more valuable after they've played it before. But yeah, it was probably something just along the lines of, well, we have to play a card.
Yeah, they were getting pretty high on hand space.
Warpath here does quite a lot of work for a card which is traditionally quite bad in this matchup. That was a full board clear, gained 6 armor, and they still have that coin, which just may never get used.
Yeah. This is quite a nice Dr. Boom.
I agree, having just seen Warpath come off the top, you know that there's going to be at least 4 Boom bots, and they're just kind of making it so that Dr. Boom is a little bit problematic to play, at least for the time being, but I still think Epic just play it. They are at a very comfortable life total already.
Yeah, they wouldn't be taking that much, and there's also, I guess, yeah, if you can play Dr. Boom and coin the Shield Slam, you're only taking 4 damage from bombs.
Yeah, the bombs, if they don't die, are actually a lot less intimidating then. And if they get the deal 1 damage to all hero power, which they do not for the following turn, would have made dealing with them very easy. But now you get the kind of this classic warrior mirror scenario where one team has Dr. Boom up, Epic, and one does not. So Ilvispel now need to kind of really force the initiative. Because if they don't, they're just going to get completely outvalued. And they also need to maybe draw a few more cards to make sure that they hit their own Doctor Boom. They did hit one of the Doctor Booms, but it unfortunately was not the right one. But Epic's plays here are a little bit awkward.
Yeah, there's not really anything you want to do. You committed to that game plan that you're gonna save the bomb combo for turn 10. And they are gonna play out an Acolyte Pain, but this also, oof, only one card.
If it had got 1 or 2 damage on the Acolyte there, that would have been a fantastically cute little play. But as it turned out, it just
got
drew them one
annihilated.
card. But there's also the counter-argument that in a Warrior Mirror, you never really want to draw that many cards.
Especially if you don't have a Luciana in your deck.
Yeah, especially then, because fatigue becomes a very real thing. They do have the Azalina, but I imagine Yggdrasil are not going to let Elysiana get Azalina.
Yeah, I feel like the perfect time of playing the Elysiana when your opponent has Azalina is when you're around like 4 or 5. Maybe even more, just to make sure you're ahead in fatigue, and that should be enough.
Yeah, because then the Azalina needs to be done purely by chance, rather than if you wait until the last card.
Yeah,
then
I feel like, especially
all the
with Baleful
information away.
Banker, you can use Elysiana like pretty much whenever you want.
I feel like Epic might need to use this Warpath here just to kind of reset the board going into their bomb turn. Moderately good outcomes on the bombs there for Yggdrasil, but at the same time, they've had all those bombs go off, and Epic are still at 40 health.
Oh, these are
That
some
was
really
an
nice mechs.
amazing Omega Assembly. The Boom Reaver, the 10-drop, the Omega Devastator, just a ridiculous card, and the Mechanical Whelp, which is probably, I think, Warrior's least favourite card in the game.
Epic Esports is running out of resources to actually deal with most of these mechs. I mean, they still have one Shield Slam, they have a Wrench Caliber and the Ziliax, but other than that, I don't think they will manage to deal with all these threats coming out.
Yeah, but we could see some bombs go off here. But we could see the bombs go down and then just Azalina for resources with how full Yggdrasil's hand is.
Yeah, so if you do Azalina right now, and your opponent doesn't have the Elysiana in hand, you pretty much know you're gonna lose.
That's very true. It's a awkward game of cat and mouse. But if they did hit the Elysiana and they hit all these resources with Azalina, then they'd most likely just win. But speaking of running out of resources, though, they're going to be very happy to see the delivery drone come up on the next hero power. Just discover the biggest mech you possibly can. If it's an Omega Devastator, bonus. And the way the hand's panning out, playing that Omega Devastator for tempo earlier on in the game, they would really like to have that card in their hand, and it really didn't do very much.
Whew.
Ooh.
But now Epic Esports know there's definitely not Elysiana in hand.
Yeah, that's some, so because it's a copy from the Boom Reaver, they know that it's come from the deck. So Azalina is just unplayable right now. So even though Boom Reaver is a pretty scary card, they did get some very useful information from that. Don't get the best mech from the delivery drone. It's kind of like a 4 mana, 5 damage removal. But they do pick up their own Dr. Boom. They're able to clean the board off very nicely, maintain control. And do you think they're going to let it rip with these bombs anytime soon, or they're going to keep holding on until there's less cards in Yggdrasil's deck?
I feel like if there's no real good play in the following turn, they're gonna have to go for the bomb combo. Especially since they did draw Blastmaster Boom, so they'll go use the bomb combo and then the following turn they can play the boom for the full value, most likely.
This mechanical whelp is just pretty terrifying, but actually choosing to not pop it off.
Yeah, you can actually clear it with the rich caliber and the.
Here comes the boom.
Goblin.
Yeah, I think the drawing of Blastmaster Boom has kind of swayed their decision here, and looks like they're actually just going all face.
Yeah. Since the mechanical web doesn't have rush at the second version, the dragon, I feel like they're pretty safe to just leave it up there and let their opponent trade off.
And one bomb comes off straight away, which is, I think, what Epic did not want to see. They want all the bombs in the deck, then play Boom, then for them all to get drawn.
Yeah. Though there is, I think, three. Yeah, there's still 3 more in deck, so the Bassmaster Boom is still at full value.
So we are going to see most likely the Blastmaster Boom and the Hero Power come down this turn. The Weapons Project is going to destroy the second swing of the Wrench Caliber, unfortunately. But we're just going to see a lot of Boom Bots hit into this, what's it called? Mechanical Dragon.
Yeah. Whelp turns into a dragon.
That's just science.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I've seen so many... There's so much variance on these boom turns when it comes to the boom bots.
One
Could just go
damage.
either way. 2 damage. Alright, so the rest of these
Hey,
are...
this is okay.
Yeah,
Apart from
just killing the whelp.
1 damage.
Yeah, the minimal damage to face isn't what you want to see, but at the same time, just the fact that it took only 3 boom bots to kill off the mechanical whelp is pretty good for Epic. Especially having just seen one of the warpaths come out, these boom bots just get really annoying to deal with.
Uvasper still haven't drawn Dr. Boom. There's only actually 10 real cards, around 10 real cards in the deck left. The rest are Boom.
After that draw, there are exactly 10
Yeah,
real cards
there's exactly
and
10 right
1
now.
bomb. And 3 bombs, sorry. But they do still have a lot of resources, while Epic's hand is, again, still running dry. Like, what we're seeing is just the difference Omega Assembly makes. That card is just absolutely insane. Just Warrior in general. It gives them so many resources. And Epic haven't done fantastically well with the hero powers either. I think we've got 1 delivery drone so far.
Yeah,
Quite a few.
a load of tank ups. Or whatever
A load of
that hero powers
black
called.
Blast shields.
Yep.
And I think a couple of these microbots as well. And these boom bots just love going face.
So this Dynamatic does clean up most of the board, along with the Boombot.
Or the hero power.
Yep, all the hero power. And, but yeah, Epic Esports running out of stuff to do. This Brawl's pretty much dead. You don't really see much value out of Brawl in the matchup. Zilliax, it's basically just a 3-2 rush. The healing's not relevant. You have 23 armor. I guess it's quite nice to magnetic onto something, but
There we
it's nothing
go.
big yet.
That's the card. Now we have an even game, and now with both players on Boom, getting Delivery Drone as the first hero power, and the fact that Yildiz will have so many more resources. Now, those are
These are
really
three
powerful
really
options.
good ones, yeah.
These are some of like probably 3 of the best cards you can get offered from the hero power, except maybe Mechanical Whelp in the mirror is just slightly better than Security Rover, but Boom Reaver just is a powerful 10-drop. You play that whenever you get a substandard hero power, and the fact that the 7/9 has rush as well as what it pulls,
Yep.
and they know that
Elysiana's
Elysiana's
also
on
still
deck,
in deck. Yeah.
so you can just get a 7/7 and a 7/9 with rush for 10 mana. And they've still got their second Omega Assembly if they want even more resources. I think Epic are going to have to go on the... Oh.
Ooh,
Disregard
brilliant.
everything I just said. They
That's
got the
insane.
Brilliant Nullifier. Yeah, alright, that is one of the other best options you can get in the mirror, particularly because they just cannot kill it.
There's
And
no
if you
owl
make
in the deck, and there's only one brawl.
Yeah, so if they put this on the Dynamatic, it puts it at 12 health with the single copy of Weapons Project gone. Like it needs to be a Omega Devastator Battle Cry and then trade the body in to kill it off. Which is not really that much when you think about it, but Omega Devastator is just a pretty disgusting card at dealing with pretty much everything when booms up.
Yveltal actually take a bit of damage now, so this Iliax might actually get some healing off, which is quite nice. You don't often see that in this match.
Yeah,
Normally, both players have 1,000,000 health.
Yeah, Epic have done, I think, a good job of acknowledging that they had limited resources and really pushing for tempo and for damage to make sure that their bombs had an impact. Because there are 2 bombs in Epic's deck, but the fact that they are still at 53 health means those 2 bombs, for the time being, not gonna do a great deal. But this double Warpath Omega Devastator allows them to fit in Hero Power, gain 7 health back as well. Omega Devastator is just a silly card.
Epic, literally out of resources right now. They have this one Clockwork Goblin and the Ziliax, but other than that, there's not much going for them. I think they will have to actually Azalina soon.
Yeah, the Acolyte of Pain at least allows them to draw. It's probably going to be 1 card. They'd really like to get maybe the Dynamatic to pair alongside with this Acolyte of Pain. Yeah, right now there's just nothing, and they might have to go Clockwork Goblin Ziliax just to clear the board. Or they can use Clockwork Goblin and their face as well. Maybe hold the Ziliax for some healing later on. What would you do in this position, Sheep? Because I am honestly not sure.
I guess I'll just play the Clockwork Goblin and clear off this 4/5, but I'd be really thinking about why I don't have Elysion in my deck.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's getting to that point where you're like, oh, okay, Azalina has to hit Elysion. I'm down to 8 cards.
Like I kind of get the reasoning behind running Azalina in the deck, because you think, well, it's better in other matchups. You see another bomb. Oh, there's a very interesting inclusion in Yveltal's decks. For the Warrior Mirror, they run Mojo Master Zihi, which is interesting, I'll say.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I guess you can... Running this card means you can pick the turn you play it, so if it's like a key turn, just play it down.
It also has a pretty nice upside for them. Because they've seen neither copy of Omega Assembly, it will shut those off for another 4 turns.
Drawing
And Shield
every
Block
single
into a bomb. And that is the final bomb in the deck, so... Now they are at 19, but there are no bombs left in their own deck.
And they still have the Ziliax, so that 19 will soon be 30.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I think they've got to go for it. They're going to get the news that the Elysiana is not in hand.
Though maybe they do get there through tempo.
Maybe.
There's a Omega Assembly in hand as well.
Yes. This is a lot of resources to pick up when you are... They can Baleful Banker the Azalina.
Go again.
I mean, is that
not actually that bad, but it means your Boom Reaper gets a bit worse, right? I'm not sure what's left. That's good with the Boom Reaper.
And
but I'm not
one
sure.
card later.
Yeah.
So Yveltal do know that Baleful Banker is in hand, so that they know that if they the Baleful Banker onto the Azalina while they have the Elysiana in hand is a possibility. This is the point where it starts getting a bit weird. But they also know that Epic's hand now contains Elec, Wrench Caliber, Clockwork Goblin. They have 5 cards left in their deck. They can get 4 bombs shuffled in at any given point, and if those 4 bombs are drawn, they will die. And if this Azalina hits face, and the Wrench Caliber hits face, they'll go under 10 health, which means that they don't need to draw 2 bombs to die, and they do not currently have any life gain besides the Ziliax in hand. So go for the Boom Reaver, just kill off this Azalina.
Yeah, I think what they're looking for is one of these big Mexa sticks that they can punch the Ziliax on for a really big amount of healing, and also they really want to thin their hand to play the Sekko Mega Devastator.
Yeah, so thinking about what Epic still have left in the deck, they do still have an Eternium Rover, they do still have an Augmented Elec, they do still have a Dynamatic, so this Boom Reaver isn't going to do a whole lot. It's the Eternium Rover, yep.
Oh, this is actually really big, because it means they can't kill off the
Boom Reaver, and the Boom Reaver is going to help heal for a lot. But I'm a bit skeptical about the decision to play Boom Reaver there, because they did know that what was left in their deck was not good minions. I don't think they had any high-powered minions actually left in the deck. They have a Shield Block, a Wrench Caliber, an Augmented Elec, a Eternium Rover, and a Bomb, I believe. So nothing particularly impressive. And that health gain is probably just going to shut Epic out of the game.
Yeah, they're just going to go back to 30 HP, and without the Luciana, you're going to eventually be taking fatigue damage, and I don't think you'll be able to keep up with the resources you have in hand.
See, I definitely do not agree with the decision to play Boom Reaver there. I think they had a 0% chance to be able to kill the Boom Reaver. They knew a Ziliax was in hand, so they knew that this was going to happen if they played Boom Reaver. And I do wonder if what they had to do was go for the Elec quadruple bomb plan.
Yep.
Just kind of make it so we're looking in a pretty bad spot, so let's go for the kind of slim but not impossible chance to just they draw all their bombs within the game. Because now this is a pretty precarious position to find themselves in. They've played for tempo the entire game, and that's just been undone in one turn.
That's the power of Ziliax. I mean, I think that I liked how Uvespel played this game. They weren't that scared of their life total, since they didn't know that holding onto Ziliax would result in one of these big swing turns.
Yeah, absolutely, and they can't kill this thing, so they are going to heal all the way back to full. So, like you say, the way you have approached this is they know that it's really hard for them to die in this particular matchup. Because they weren't afraid of it, they let kind of Epic exhaust the resources for them. They knew that they had Elysiana and Epic did not. So if they play for the long game, they will win basically all the time. And now it's just a question of, right, how do we not lose this game?
Yeah, I feel like they could even just go for maybe Elysiana this turn. Then next turn they can go for like a Motion Master Zihi to try and shut off their opponent a bit more. Like the 3 remaining cards really aren't that relevant. They're playing Motion Master Zihi this turn, but this also means that Elysiana is not going to be active for a few turns.
It means that Elysiana is going to be active
when they're
exactly when they reach fatigue, because they don't have any bombs left in their deck.
But they won't be able to play it with Baleful Banker, though I don't think it'll matter that much. I think the tank.
I don't think they really.
Yeah, the tank cards will probably be enough.
I think the Baleful Banker, it's irrelevant. It's only relevant when you're playing against a deck which also has Elysiana, because you only need 1 more Elysiana than your opponent. If you have 1 and your opponent has 0, then 1 is more than enough. You can use the Baleful Banker for pretty much anything else. So they're just going to be able to play it on 8 mana, but I think the main reason they've done this is because there are still 2 copies of Omega Assembly in Epic's deck, which I think they need at this point to kind of high roll some win condition out of. If they can't play those for so many turns, then they will lose 100% of the time, especially now as the bombs are just going to start hitting them. And this gigantic Boom Reaver is just doing so much work.
I actually don't think this Boom Reaper can die anymore, because if I remember correctly, the turn they play Alzelina, they were holding on to the only one copy of Brawl, so they don't even have a Brawl as their out right here, because a Brawl would be perfect here with the micro squad, the micro bots. Just hero power, play the Brawl, hopefully you win, and then maybe you can swing the board back into your favor. But without that option, just look at their hand. There's just no way to kill this 10-11, and they're facing lethal.
They are, and disregarding the fact that their only weapon removal, this Harrison Jones, draws them closer to fatigue.
Yep.
And draws them closer
Shield
to...
block also draws them closest to fatigue.
I don't know how... So they can actually kill the Boom Reaver this turn by going Clockwork Goblin, War Gear, Hero Power. That is exactly 11 power. It will kill the Boom Reaver, but it will leave the weapon intact, the Clockwork Goblin intact, and the Hero
Well, they
Power
can't, because
intact.
they are on 7 mana.
Oh Christ, I'm so used to them big on 10.
Yeah.
On 7 mana, there is literally nothing they can do except that maybe Ziliax try and heal up, but the Hero Power is just going to mean that they only get to heal once from this Ziliax. And this is just kind of going through the motions now, Sheep.
Yep.
This game is over.
Yeah, I mean, we just gotta throw a few more bombs in the deck and hopefully he dies, I guess. Even Baleful Bankering a Clockwork Goblin. More bombs.
Why not?
They do have to hit 2 bombs to die here.
It does actually put 2 Clockwork Goblins in the deck because of the Augmented Relic. So there's some nice synergy there. Right, 1 bomb. They're on 1 health now. They do not pick up another one, even though their deck now is 2 bombs, and they do concede. So I've actually just had a realization, Sheep. Looking at Epic's deck, they don't run a Mega Assembly. I've talked about it this entire time, but it's just not in the deck.
It is.
And that is what I think that is incorrect.
It's very interesting. I'd like to know the
reasoning
thought process behind that. Yeah.
Because what we kind of saw in that game was the difference between running Omega Assembly and not running it. Yveltal had so many resources through the entire game, and Epic just completely ran dry.
I feel like that they really didn't want to hit the Warrior mirror with this Warrior build.
But I wonder what this Warrior is intended to win against.
Because Omega Assembly is a great card. I feel like even just discovering a mech, even if it's 1 mech, it's still, I think it's still a good card. Like you can just choose what you want in specific scenarios.
It's a great card on 1 against aggressive decks, and it's a great card on 10 against control decks. It's just a really powerful, really flexible card.
And it's also the reason why Dr. Boom's such a great card, because you play Dr. Boom down, you stall for a few turns, you play your Mega Assembly, and then that should be enough resources to finish off the game.
Right, so maybe this Warrior was not built with the Warrior Mirror in mind, but let's see how it does against the Rogue. You know, the kind of quintessential reason you run Warrior as it was.
Yeah. The Rogue does have the Chef Nomi.
They do. And it's in the Rogue.
I do love this card. Just need 1 Myros and a few Shadow Steps, and that'll be game.
Yeah, you know, it's my favourite play on turn 9 against a Warrior. But before they can Omega Assembly their way out of any kind of nonsense, you just go prep, Myra's, Nomi, Shadow Step, and then the Warrior's kind of sat there like...
Yeah. And most Warrior builds only run 1 Brawl, so yeah, if you Shadow Step it, then sure, they can deal with the first iteration, but once you play it back down, that should end out the game.
Yeah, it depends on whether you're playing against a Bomb Warrior or Control Warrior, I find. If you're playing against Control Warrior, they are more likely to have 2 Brawls, so sometimes you do need the second Shadow Step. But against Bomb, like they know they are against right now, they know they are playing against 1 Brawl. It's not, you know, kind of standard ladder game. So if they get that 1 Nomi Shadow Step and the warrior's not at too high a health total, doesn't have boom and a sizable board already, they will just kind of win.
Somebody order a bomb.
But the rogue finally gets a miscreant for the first time in 2 games, and gets the spell lackey, which is I think the most important one against warrior.
Fortunately, didn't hit the Myras.
Didn't hit the Myras. Violet Haze is kind of just value against a warrior. Vanish is probably... It's good against a big magnetic minion. So if they get a big Ziliax or a big Beryllium Nullifier, you can use Vanish to just kind of essentially remove it. It's like Sap that works on Beryllium Nullifier minions. But Vendetta is a 4-mana deal 4 to a minion.
Yeah, Vendetta's
very underpowered.
Definitely not the pick, I think. I'd be very surprised if they pick this. I think it's most likely Violet Haze. You just want more resources. Like, you just want to grind the game out.
Yeah,
and
Rogue
wait until you draw your cards.
Yeah, Rogue just can just grind warrior down almost. It's quite interesting when it happens, because the lackeys with Shadow Steps can just get so much work done. And they are thinking long and hard about this, and they are going to go for the Vanish. So...
Maybe because they do have the prep, so maybe next time they'll even go like prep Vanish, so they get the lackey back in hand. But going into turn 4, it's very unlikely that lackey survives due to the militia pick him up.
And the top deck Wisp. The main reason I'm not a big fan of the Wisps in this deck is it is literally the worst top deck in the game.
Yeah. It's really like the Wisp is basically a cheese strat. You draw the Wisp and you hope you have the Edwin. You hope you have the Miscreant. You hope you have Raiding Party.
If they had that Wisp on turn 3 with the Miscreant, it would have looked pretty good. As it happened, they did not. So now they're just going to get tempoed down, and the spell Lackey is going to get killed over the Wisp because they do not care if this Wisp gets bounced back anytime soon. We could see a Vanish and then replay the Wisp here.
That seems like a stellar play.
Yeah, that seems like a game-winning play. They're just going to keep fighting for board.
I feel like this Vanish was a mistake.
Yeah, looking at this hand now. Looking at this hand now, I think they really wish they had that Violet Haze just to get a bit more value into this hand, because Nomi is very situational, Leroy, Eviscerate, Damage Lackey. A lot of things that aren't good, like, outside of very specific circumstances.
I think they just really wanted that Lackey back, but looking at it, it feels
very optimistic, yeah.
It survived.
Yeah, the Warrior knows that bounce effect, like when there's things like Shadow Step in the deck, the Warrior knows that they should kill everything before it gets bounced back to hand. Mm-hmm. Like Vanish is just a very, very slow Shadow Step in this scenario. And it does remove Ziliax from this Eternium Rover. So it gets some use. Maybe they were thinking about the
Commander back.
Yeah, it does have some downsides, because Militia Commander is amazing from hand, and Eternium Rover is just a good card. And the Rogue really hasn't done the kind of initial damage it needed to. Like, I think the way the Rogue most consistently wins against Warriors is you have the really early aggression. You make sure the armor total of the warrior doesn't get too high, so things like Shield Slam are pretty awkward to use. Using their own face weapons is awkward to use, and then you kind of have the final push with Flag will pick Leroy or Noni after Myra's. But I think that one of the biggest deals is just the fact that they have not drawn Myra's at any point up to this.
It's just one of those Rogue games where you're like, huh, why am I playing this deck again?
Another one, as it was. The first one was exactly the same.
Yeah, they did draw Chef Nomi, they did draw Prep, and they didn't have any cards to use that. They used them with, like,
they can prep out Eviscerate now.
Yeah, Yeah, they could, and just flip the 2 mana.
Yeah, so Blastmaster Boom here is gonna just summon a nice 2 boom box, but they're absolutely fine with that. Weapons Project gonna remove the Waggle Pick, which will pull the damage lackey back to the hand. Not a very high value target to pull back. And now they're left with a 2/3 weapon. They do finally pick up the Raiding Party.
Yep.
Which could get them a green skin to upgrade this to a kind of pseudo Assassin's Blade. Nice 3/4 weapon.
The nice thing about it is that it does fit in the deck. That's what we're looking for here. You just need to fin as quickly as possible and try to find the Myras. Once again, I feel like this is definitely a Myras wins the game. Only. I think that anything else doesn't quite do the trick.
Just doesn't get there. I agree.
You have to hit the Myras. You have to hit both the Shadow Steps, or maybe at least one.
It is getting to that point in the game where they've drawn enough of the way through the deck naturally that they are very likely to hit at least one Shadow Step with the Myras. And they're also getting closer and closer to just drawing Myras organically. And maybe there is a point that they get to where they just reach the end of their deck naturally, because Boom hasn't been drawn yet. If they get like their other Raiding Party, I don't actually think that does anything at this point.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, which it actually just doesn't do it.
They've drawn both Dread Corsairs, both deck hands, and both Waggle Picks. So
it shows the green skin.
They are not
that's
running Greenskin.
They aren't
only.
Okay.
No, they are only running
just
4
assumed.
pirates.
Okay,
And they
then
have
it
drawn
definitely
all
doesn't
4
do
of those
anything.
pirates, as well as both of the weapons. So this Raiding Party, which they do draw off the top, literally does nothing. That's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, it does something if you do draw Edwin. It gives it +2.
Give your Edwin Fang, please, +2/+2.
We have to look at the bright
It's not a
side
great
of things.
3-mana card.
Sometimes it matters, maybe it matters. Yeah, it probably doesn't matter, does it?
Given that Epic are at 35 health, 9 of its armor, so it would take a very big Edwin to just not be able to be shield slammed at this point.
We did see the Tempo Nomi in the previous game. Will we see it again? I hope not, because
This cannot be a Tempo Nomi game. That is your win condition against Warrior. It's just got to happen. Do they play the Raiding Party?
I
Just
think
to
you
get out
actually
of
do
town?
play the Raiding Party, so you draw an extra card from the Myras.
Yeah,
if you draw next
like it's not even giving information away at this point, because they have played onto the board both Waggle Picks, both Dread Corsairs, and both Celestial Deckhands. It's just a dead card in hand, which you need to play at some point if you want to make Myra slightly better. And they do need to make Myra slightly better.
Maybe they wanted it as like a combo activator for the secondary screen, I guess. That could be a reason why they're holding on to it.
Perhaps, but we could see a Leroy hit face, Waggle Pick, hit face. Send Leroy back to the hand on the following turn.
Yeah, but we're getting pretty low. I mean, we take 10 damage,
Yes.
and there's gonna be some bombs coming the way of us because the Wrench Caliber is in hand.
Yes.
Mega Devastator the bomb.
I've honestly never seen that happen before, but it does 4 damage to the face.
It deserved a 4 damage.
Yeah, for that
committed.
play, absolutely deserved. And is it Myra's? It's Edwin. This is
Okay, this is why we hold the Raiding Party. Let's
right,
go.
so we can go Leroy to the face, Waggle Pick to the face, prep Raiding Party Edwin.
Yes. Okay, we're playing an 8/8 Edwin? Okay. I guess we didn't want to give
No, it's just a
them the whelps.
6/6.
Oh yeah, it's only a 6/6.
Unless they just play prep. So this just gets shield slammed.
Yeah, pretty
Or
much
it
the
can-
guys on board.
Yeah.
And
Wait.
since the second range caliber got picked up, I'm definitely going to see the swing here. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're at 8 health. They're just dead on board next turn. There's 5 on board plus a 3 damage weapon. The rogue's just dead. Even if they pick up Myras now, they don't run Ziliacs in their list. So they're dead. This rogue has been
Very underwhelming.
yeah. I wasn't a fan of Wisps previously. I am now even less of a fan of Wisps.
Yeah, it's not great in the Warrior matchup, I can say that. I
It
don't
just
think a
wasn't-
1-1's cutting it, hey.
A 0-mana 1/1 as a part of a 30 card deck doesn't really have the highest impact, but so that is now Epic are 2-1 up. We're gonna finally see this Cyclone Mage, and we're gonna see Cyclone Mage versus Holy Wrath Paladin. This is a matchup I certainly know nothing about, but
Yeah.
the Cyclone Mage has the Ray of Frost, Elemental Evocation, and Mana Cyclone in their opening hand.
I'm not sure. I think that's a keep.
Yeah, see this. You may hear from myself and Sheep a bit of I think so in this particular cast because Cyclone Mage it's a very new deck, and it's one that not many people have really kind of got a mastery of yet. I am very much one of the people who has not yet got a
I
mastery
think I
of
played
it.
like 4 games and I think I've lost them all.
I often find myself in the mulligans are really difficult with this deck because you have a lot of kind of unique pieces which are quite bad on their own, but they all kind of contribute towards different strategies. Like keeping the element evocation with the mana cyclone seems very solid to me. You get Harrison Jones on True Silver Champion, throwback to like 2016.
I can see why you don't keep Rare Frost, since there's not much to Rare Frost, is there? Yeah, okay, I guess there is this Bloodsail Corsair. That could have been a target, but...
Yeah, see, and again, the other spell with this anti-rogue tech with a rogue ban just strikes me as the tiniest bit odd. And if they had that Ray of Frost right now with this Sorcerer's Apprentice, could just generate another 3 spells as well as a 3/2 and a 2/2 and clear their opponent's board.
Yeah, that'll be an insane tempo play. You just be hitting your opponent and you have a load of spells in hand. But they do decide to just play down the Sorcerer's Apprentice as a tempo play.
There's nothing that the Paladin can do to kind of combat this, because they run no kind of buff cards. There's no kind of.
I mean, there was Wild Pyromancer coin, but you don't really want to use the coin in that scenario.
No, that seems very underwhelming. And this Stargazer Luna is.
I feel
kind
like
of
it just gets tempoed down. Yeah, just a 2/4.
But then
It dies to True Silver though.
It dies to coin True Silver or coin Hammer of Wrath. When there's 4 cards on the coin with a 1/1 still on board that kill it off, it's probably not the most appealing play. But you could also say, well, and also because their hand is a little bit light right now. Yeah, I like this from Epic. Not rushing into anything.
I hope you like my invention.
And what we see from
Ooh,
your Vespel there
now we can
is-
go.
Yeah, now Stargazer Luna is happening. If we get some more cheap spells, then Mana Cyclone is probably also happening.
I think this happens.
Behold the tools of creation.
Yeah. Just why not? I mean, this is really bad to consecrate, but
Yeah, Consecration.
you
is, I
do
think,
get
the-
2 spells back. And no, you do get 2 spells, and you can probably play.
If there's a
because you
cheap
do
one
have
on the right,
yeah. No.
a Powered Creation is not a bad card to get.
It's definitely very good, but this
And
this
I really
consecrate
like
is pretty good. Though the
Yep.
Stargazer Luna does survive. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
really
this
like
thing
the
will pick up.
I really like the value trade on the 1/2 there for this exact reason. If the Sorcerer's Apprentice had gone face, would have been a full trade to kill off the Stargazer Luna, but leaving Stargazer Luna alive is often asking for trouble. Because when a lot of the deck costs 1 or 0, doesn't hit on any of those cards, unfortunately, for Epic, but a lot of them are. and then they can cycle really heavily. But the Ziliax is going to allow for further protection from either the opposing Ziliax or choose of a champion. But the trade with the Luna means that even the opposing Ziliax isn't going to get the nice trade it was hoping for, and instead just has to bump Divine Shields. So far I really like the way that Epic have approached this. They're making it very difficult for Yggdrasil to kind of do anything they want to do, and they also haven't hit their cycle, which Holy Wrath Paladin really, really needs to hit. They haven't found Christology, and they have not found Prismatic Lens.
I'm not sure what you do as Yggdrasil on this turn. Like, everything looks so awkward. You have this double Pyromancer. Like, sure, you can kill off the Stargazer Luna. I think you actually have to.
I think you just hammer of Wrath the Stargazer Luna, to be honest. Nothing else is really been, and it draws you a card, which at this point you have to do. Could go something like Blood Mage Thalnos.
I think. Okay. Yeah.
I would have actually played the Blood Mage Thalnos first, just to draw the card.
We could have, but I'm not sure what you're looking for 2 mana, to be honest. I think it's probably just better to keep it on board, right?
The Ziliax is a really good target for Conjurer's Calling, actually. It's a pretty low statted 5-drop once you have got rid of the kind of rush aspect of it. So they could just make 3 5-drops here.
Yeah, they can make 3 5-drops, which is okay. Or they can just choose to draw more cards. I think you can save the Conjurer's Calling, maybe. Like, you don't have to go that quickly in the matchup. You just save your resources.
Yeah, I agree. They still want to hit these giants. But if they could force out something like a early shrink rate, then that is the only way that this Paladin deck has of dealing with these big giant boards, of dealing with the Power of Creation, the Conjurer's Calling giants. Like, they have a lot of stall. They have all these heal cards, like Flash of Light. They have the Timeout, but they're just not cycling through the deck in any meaningful way just yet.
There's a Christology, though. But...
Finally. So it hits the Bloodsetter Corsair, which does nothing, and the Crystal Smith Kangor, which is healing.
Yeah.
But is also...
We're just cycling. Any cycle's good at this point, I think. Just have to go through our deck as quickly as possible.
And just throw down this Bloodsetter Corsair.
I think this turn we're definitely going to see
This
the
turn is
Conjurer's
Conjurer's
Calling.
Calling.
Yeah. Especially the second one. Okay.
And it gets another 2 Rabble Bouncers.
I'm not sure the odds of that, but...
I don't think it's that unlikely. There aren't that many 7-drops in Standard right now, but Baron Geddon is a scary
kills off
minion.
the 1/2. Okay.
Kills off the 1/2, and it's just recurring damage against a deck which you are very much just trying to kill. I think we're going to see a Shrink Ray this turn. And if the Shrink Ray comes down, maybe
Has to be... Does Pyro Shrink mode works? It does,
no,
right?
No, I think you just Shrink Ray, because the Baron Geddon is going to kill off the other minions anyway.
But it can get power. It can get Conjurer's Call.
That is very true. But they have seen both copies of one Conjurer's Calling, so the chances of the second one being in hand are low. We can see it is there, but statistically speaking, it's unlikely to be there.
But are you willing to take the risk? Because if you
that's
your only Shrink Ray in hand, it's the only clear really, and if you do see the next Conjurer's Calling, then how are you going to deal with the minions?
That is a valid point. I think that's going to be what they are thinking about right now. And they are going to just
take the risk.
Pull the trigger. And so the Power of Creation is going to be very difficult to deal with. So let's see what we get.
That was a very nice pickup from Mana Cyclo.
2 Archer
Ooh,
Commanders.
okay. We're just going in. That was a really quick pick.
Yeah, it's damage. They need to push the initiative in this game, and with both Pyromancers gone, their board is just pretty safe. And the Holy Wrath costs 25. But the Sharvala does cost 0, so there is the kind of get out of jail free card at any point.
It's quite awkward. We can't kill off any of these Argent commanders unless they want to Shavala this turn.
And they do not want to shove out of this turn.
Yes, definitely not. So we're gonna have to be taking another 8 damage. Hammer of Wrath. Guess we just get cycle another card. Looks like.
Nothing looks great here, does it?
I mean, we take off the Divine Shields or Consecrate. Maybe that's
Yeah.
something.
I mean, Consecrate takes off 2 Divine Shields, Hammer of Wrath takes off 1 Divine Shield. I think that's just maths. But this Khadgar Conjurer's Calling is going to be...
This might just be lethal, you know.
If they
We
get
get a few
another
more
Argent
Argent Commanders.
Could happen. Straight, the Security Rover is just never get... And the Scribe is actually really good. This board is so sticky at this point, and it's not really very much they can do. And looks like Epic are gonna win this game, and indeed,
Oh, there is a timeout.
Timeout is only good when you are close to your win condition.
We have 2 timeouts.
There's still
We
8
just have to
cards
draw
left in
8
the deck.
cards. Okay, 8 cards. Come on.
So
Somehow we're
the
gonna-
card draw that is left in their deck, they still have a Christology, but they have drawn every 1 attack minion, so Christology is dead. They have 1 Prismatic Lens, which draws 2, and they have 1 Hammer of Wrath, which draws 3. So there's 3 card draw cards, as well as 2 organic draws left in deck. So realistically, what they need is another 5 turns.
Yeah.
And look at this board. This is not the kind of board which gives you 5 turns. And you know what, Sheep? Khadgar with Security Rover summons 2 2/3 mechs every time it's damaged.
I think we're gonna have to need a bit more board space. I think Sep's cutting it.
The Eccentric Scribe summons 8 1/1 Vengeful Scrolls if it dies.
True Silver Champion, okay. They can heal for a bit. Okay.
This does put. I think.
Okay. This is the
there's-
game plan. We're putting him to 25 and we're hoping this Holy Wrath's gonna do it in the next turn.
Yeah, so it's going to be Shavala, Baleful Banker, Holy Wrath, and Prey.
Yep.
Yeah, going to throw out down the Kangor just to. Oh, they're doing it.
Wait. Huh. This does mean they could draw the Cheval the next turn.
Yeah, I think I would have gone for the
Bit
timeout
devastating.
this turn, and
I think so too. Because this Cheval is always dying here. Yeah, I mean they do heal back up to 26, but they're staring down a lot of damage, and they have a 1 in 8 of just drawing the Cheval, and the game plan's ruined basically.
yes, I think we're going to see a Frost Nova this turn. They can kill up the. So what they could do is they could bump one of these 1/1s in, play a Sea Giant, and then Frost Nova to make sure that there's going to be no additional healing, and then just smash him in the face. Alternatively, are there any good ways of killing the Shavala without taking too much damage or giving them too much healing?
Do they want to play the Harrison Jones? It feels like it, right? They're actually opting to thing here, but not Frost Nova.
Interesting.
I feel like Frost Nova, like, you have 2, it's just the best option here. The Chevala never gets to attack through the Frost Nova. It's just no way.
Nope.
And you're basically putting down lethal pressure.
Now, does it happen?
Oh, yeah.
It happens.
That's game.
I'm just not so sure about playing it last turn.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they had to.
that was a big punish. I mean,
Yeah,
this
they
was
had to
obviously
put-
their game plan, and yeah, they just had to wait.
Yeah, I think they had to time out last turn, then Shavala, Banker, then they would have had a 1 in 8 to win the game.
Right, it was 1 in 7.
Oh, they had. Oh, yeah, it would have been a 1 in 7 to win the game. No, it's
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't
bit
think
awkward for them.
there's
I
just
think
no
we can
way. Just clear the
Yeah.
board, you can just do whatever, and there's just no win condition left. I mean, they can't know this because they don't know they've drawn the Shivala, but from our point of view, there's just no way that
Epic, of course, don't.
Investment.
Epic, of course, know that they are on 24 health and are going to be very aware of that. But at the same time, we can see this game is over. We could see Condra's calling onto the Harrison Jones, try and find Ziliax.
Time runs out on me.
I'm going to see the Shabbat die here. Nope, we're just going to see the Frostover take it out of action one more turn.
Yeah.
And there's
Was
that.
there any 5-drops that's not good though? Like, could lose either game? I don't think so, right? So
5-drops are pretty mediocre on average. Ziliax is a very good one. Most of them are just kind of vanilla-ish minions, I think. But I think that's it. The Crestology is literally a dead card at this point.
once they play down the Shivala, then Epic definitely know they've got the game.
Yes.
And Shivala has to come down if they want to survive an extra turn.
Yeah, and with the security rovers on the board, with the eccentric scribe on the board, like clearing this board doesn't even accomplish all that much. Because more stuff just appears to take its place. Now, I think what we can say we've seen here is Yulva's spell. They did that, you know, that Hearthstone cliche of playing to survive rather than playing to win. I think they threw away their only realistic kind of win condition, though it was pretty unlikely, in favor of just kind of staying alive more convincingly for one more turn. But in the process, they lost the game.
So now Epic is supposed to cut off the Shivalas and they win.
Yeah,
There's nothing left in deck that can
This is the issue with Holy Wrath Paladin. It does have one condition and one win condition only. If that goes, you lose. Like, they have, in terms of offensive power left in the deck, they have a 3 damage Hammer of Wrath, a 4 damage True Silver Champion, and a 2 attack Velvet Banker, and they're just going to concede the game there. That is going to be a 3-1 victory for Epic over Yulvaspil there. So we've been taking you through the games, but I think what we saw there, we made our points about, we weren't sure kind of the anti-rogue techs, but we're going to throw it back to the analyst deck with Lorinda and Cinder. Just realised that rhymed. They're going to give us their thoughts on how the match goes. So, goodbye for now.
I mean, I guess that it rhymes if you have that Robobson lilt, you have that Lorinda Cinder thing going on, but
yeah, I can't envisage a world where that doesn't rhyme from being from the UK.
I imagine so. I mean, for us in the US, it's a little bit of a stretch, a reach, if you will. But yeah, so this brings Epic into the 4-3 category, so they still have chance to advance. They got to keep winning. Yulvaspil, I think, mathematically kind of runs out of the running here.
I think that's it.
Yeah, Epic. Okay, so 5-4s might actually make it through. So like Yulvaspil is now in just a must-win situation all around.
And just looking through the other results as well, Nordavind got their 7th straight win.
Oof.
I believe I wasn't here last season, but I believe they didn't have a particularly great season.
No, they didn't. They were like 3 and out pretty early on. It was a little surprising. They were kind of the favorite on the caster's desk, and it didn't really work out.
Don't poke the bear. It's like they've
Right.
0-3 and out, woken them up. No more of that mess. Now it's 7-0. And yes, it's panning out very nicely. There's a lot of teams on that 4-3 that I'm assuming we'll probably see one of in the next round. Trying to get to that 6-3 safety.
We'll definitely be keeping our eyes on that. But let's actually talk about this match we just saw, Epic versus Yulvaspil. So this ends up going 3-1 for Epic, and we saw some kind of very interesting decision points. We also saw the Rogue floundering quite a bit in both of its games for Yulvaspil. Like the Rogue's not a perfect deck, Lorinda.
Yeah, when you're not favoured and your Rogue just draws all of its 0 mana garbagey preps with no friends. Rogue's done this since the dawn of time. Sometimes you just get that hand where it does nothing. Well, I've always said you put those cards in your deck unlucky. I don't think anyone gets any sympathy for losing with Rogue right now.
No.
So unlucky. But it is just a thing that happens. But yeah, they were up against it. They needed that Rogue to get a very quick victory, and they just drew, especially against the Hunter, they drew absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah, it turns out when you don't draw a raiding party or a lackey generator, you just lose.
And you've got your preps that you urgently need to save in case you do.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Hunter deck. Sorry, the Hunter deck just looked really nice in that set too.
Yeah, the Hunter deck's one of those decks that I've never been able to play particularly great. And I watch people play it who are good and think, oh, that's what it does. Then you try and play it and there's just cards on the floor and I'm wondering what I'm doing wrong. But yeah, the fact it managed to take down the Rogue there was a big bonus for it. It's not favoured in that matchup at all. And then we had that Warrior Mirror, which was setting up to be interesting with the Azalina.
Oh yeah, and this has kind of been the evolution of this matchup, right? Like if you think your opponent is going to go with Elysiana Banker plays to extend the game to the 2-hour mark, you play Azalina and take it and play it first, and then you're ahead on that count. But then Yulvaspil is playing with Mojo Master Zihi, so this adds another wrinkle into the matchup. Right. And Epic did what they were supposed to do. The player or the team with the Azalina is the team that's trying to be the aggressor. They're trying to get out of their deck faster, but then it backfires. What happened?
I mean, they were unlucky on the timing. The Barbarians picked up on the very next turn, so that all went wrong. But also the way that it was played after that, as soon as Azalina's in play, you both got the same hand, obviously. Mm-hmm. You've got to guarantee the tempo. So just making sure they didn't try and get clever, just played the biggest stuff they had and then dropped their own Zihi, locking the game down was very smart.
Oh yeah, and that Boom Reaver roll picking up a pretty good chunk of stats, and Epic just had no way to fight back against that, even though they were in the superior position. So
I think that first Boom Reaver roll made things really complicated as well, because it picked up the Elysiana immediately. They know it's not in hand, so they know they couldn't even try and take the early Azalina gamble because they knew it wasn't in hand at that point. Which meant they had to leave it even, when they got to a position where they needed to play it, they really didn't want to play it because there's a great chance it wasn't in hand.
Yeah, I think Yulvaspil is at 5 cards in deck. Yeah. So
I had to go for
a reasonable risk, yeah. But
ideally you want to wait until the hero power is going to generate 1/1 to go alongside your Azalina to give it a little bit more of a tempo head start, but they just didn't have the time to wait.
No. So the Warrior game, the only game that Yulvaspil wins in the series, the rest of the match goes for Epic. Warrior beating Rogue. It kind of went in typical fashion. Warrior pretty favored against the Rogue, and again, Rogue just not drawing very well in the match. And then this Mage versus Paladin, the Cyclone Mage, we just saw just way too many threats for the Paladin. Paladin has so few clears, Lorinda. It's so tough for them to keep up with the pressure the Mage can put out.
And that makes you happy, right? Not because of the teams, but because you like that Mage deck.
I love it. It's been my favorite deck since it kind of hit the legend ranks last week.
Yeah, it's one of those decks that is really good fun to watch, in particular with these top players playing it, because something different seems to happen every time. It's also a caster's nightmare because you have to know the names of every card in the set, and I'm notorious for not knowing the names of any cards that are even used, let alone ones that aren't. So that's pretty handy.
Yeah, it's a deck that has a ton of decision points, and it can create its own win conditions, right? Like sometimes you feel like you're in a losing position, and you just start playing junk out of your hand, and the Mana Cyclone does stuff, and you find yourself in a winning position, and that's kind of what people are looking for in a deck where they can make those high pressure, high speed decisions, and navigate their way to a win condition.
Yeah, it never really looked like the Paladin was going to get done. Obviously, there was a couple of chances where they might have had a 1 in 7 at it with the Holy Wrath, but just the cards just didn't come in the right order, even for their sort of attempts to high roll at the end.
Yeah, and credit to Yulvaspil for actually playing to their outs correctly there as the Holy Wrath Paladin, knowing that it was time to just throw Shirvala into the deck and hope for the 1 in 8 that they can, or the not 1 in 8 and then the 1 in 7 to have the Holy Wrath draw the Shirvala after setting them to 24. But they drew the Shirvala, and their dreams were crushed right there on the spot.
Going to have to get a lot more going for them than that if they're going to get into this top 12, and it's only the tiebreaker to get into the top 12 at that. So a lot of hard work for them to do for the rest of the day.
And speaking of top 12, we're waiting for just a few more matches to resolve. Actually, I think we're done with matches. Looks like everything's put in. So we're actually going to be ready to roll for the next round of Swiss. We're coming up on round 8, folks, but we're going to take the stream onto a pause, a little intermission. So get yourself a snack, get yourself a drink, and we're going to be right back to cast round 8 with a feature match for House Rivalries EU. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
everyone, welcome back. We're just gonna get right into the second game of today. This is the 8th. This is round 8, and we are going to see 2, 3, and 4 teams. So it's going to be necessary for teams to get a 5-4 record to make it into the top 12. So the loser of this match are into the tiebreaker games to make it into the top 12. Just had a correction in my ear there. So whichever team loses this particular series is out of the tournament for good. So we're going to have Swagoi Gaming versus a Samsung something or another?
Morning Stars.
Samsung Morning Stars. So, and Sheep, we've seen the decks for these two teams. What do you make of them?
Well, it's quite obvious that Swagoi are going for a target warrior strategy. Look at the builds. You see in the mage, they have the ooze for the weapons. They also have very top end heavies, such as the Alex Strauss, Astromancer, Power of Creation, Archmage, Antonidas. They definitely want to be
worth noting
targeting
that is
warrior.
worth noting that's in Cyclone Mage, not
Cyclone
in
Mage.
Dragon Mage. They have all those cards in Cyclone Mage.
Yeah, and in the rogue they have the Togwaggle, Chef Nomi, and Sprint.
Yeah.
And
then a
in
warrior
warrior,
is
yeah, it's
quite
very top
something.
end Harry. They really hate the opposing warrior. It's two Sephorian bombers, Ken, Gramash, and Alex Straza. It's quite similar to the list Psycho ran in or runs in the Grandmaster League. It's very target warrior. It's very good in the mirror. They have the Alex, the Grom, and the Ken. But in this case, Swagoi even put in the Sephorian bombers as well.
Yeah. As well as the usual bomb package of Alex, Goblins, and Wrench Calibers. So they are going all in on just killing the opposing warrior.
But unfortunately, there is no opposing warrior.
Yes, that is the big issue, because looking at Samsung Morningstar's lists, they've also gone for what would be considered a target warrior lineup circa maybe Worlds. So they have a kind of miracle rogue rather than... So it's got the lackey package, of course, but the pirates are the Hench Clan Burglar, and they also have a Vendetta. They've got Wanted, they've got Double Gadgetzan Auctioneer, they've got a Questing Adventure, they've got Wanted, they've also got Togwaggle and a Togwaggle Scheme, and they run no copy of Myra's Unstable Element. So it's quite an unusual deck. Very excited to see how that one plays out, because I believe it's one of Purple's creations from a few weeks ago. But then in their other lists, they've brought Dragon Mage instead of Cyclone Mage. So kind of just going for the more old school approach, but also still very good against Warrior. They've got a mid-range Hunter, a list which is kind of just what we've been seeing for quite some time now. Just play Master's Call, play a lot of beasts, hit your opponent in the face, and then play Zul'jin. But they've also got that classic, which Lorinda on the caster's desk is looking very much forward to seeing. We've got Rafarm Zoo. What's your opinion on Rafarm and Zoo, Sheep? But the Zoo has been banned, unfortunately. Alas. But
Yeah.
anyway, what's your opinion on Rafarm and Zoo? It's always fun to talk about this.
I'm not a big fan of Rafarm and Zoo. I mean, I guess you can. Yes, sure, it makes your really bad matchups a bit better. Like against Warrior, like you're keeping that card for sure. You definitely want those extra legendaries, but like against everything else, it's mainly just a dead card. You know, as Zoo, you really don't want any dead cards. You just want cards that you can just play to fill your mana curve, and a 7 mana card really isn't filling your mana unless you slap it down on turn 7 and draw it on that turn as well.
Yeah,
But,
when you run 2 cards which cost more than 3 mana, one of them costs 7, it's a little weird. But we're going to throw things over to Cinder and Lorinda on the caster's desk, and they are going to walk you through the action of Swagoi versus Samsung Morningstar.
Thank you so much, Robobson and Green Sheep. I'm here on the caster's desk with my ultra friend Lorinda, and
Yeah, good call.
we're
actually a
gonna
thing.
be, yeah. We can talk about that later. So this game, Lorinda, between Swagoi and Samsung Morningstars, this is another must-win situation for the playoff picture. Both teams sitting at 3-4, meaning that any loss mathematically eliminates them from being able to squeeze in on tiebreakers at the end of the set. So, with that being said, Lorenzo, how does this matchup play out given the lineups?
I mean, I just feel that the lineup from Samsung is a little bit, from Morningstar's a little bit out of date. So even if percentage-wise it matches up well for them, it's just not a good lineup. The decks aren't. You can't sort of go to HS Replay and say what's the percentage because the decks are out of date.
Yeah,
or at least that's how they look. You know, we've got 3 very strong players. Meliador at the helm for this is a very powerful player that well known across Europe. Letter had some good results last year, and obviously Bunny Hopper, who I imagine isn't there today, is my guess.
no, I think he's busy.
He's
doing
probably
some
got other things on. I just feel that will cost them rather than necessarily the traditional matchup percentages.
Yeah, absolutely. Team dynamic, very important in house rivalries. We're heading into the first match of Samsung Morningstars versus Swagoi Gaming, and we're going to see that Dragon Mage right up to in the first game here, Lorinda. And I feel like the Mage is going to be the weak link for Samsung. This, as you noted, this is a dated list, and it doesn't really have a great spread against these more modern decks of Swagoi.
If you can just carry me for like another 30 seconds because I'm still slow at getting into games. I'm an inexperienced noob when it comes to house rivalries, I'm afraid.
Yeah, like it's like you've never casted a game before, Lorinda. Like, you know, with
There
the
we go. I'm
program.
in there now.
Well,
got this
I think
sorted.
the mage opener, I think you usually want to see a giant here in the first hand, but more important than that, Book of Specters can lead you into that turn 3 mountain giant. Very, very important for this dragon mage to get its aggression going. But against the hunter, it's going to be a tough matchup, I think.
Yeah, especially against this hand. Lovely aggressive start coming out here for Random Hero. Swagoi.
Yeah, I mean, may as well go for the tracking now. Get some more curve filler for later on. But yeah, double animal companion on the coin. It's really good.
Yeah, the rat trap's kind of annoying for the mage though. It just stops that double attempt. If you get enough damage done and you've got the rat trap sort of set over, they have to trigger it and give you a 6/6. Oops.
Yikes.
A yikes indeed.
Man, there are very few.
They can burn the coin on an animal companion immediately here.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all. And that Book of Specters was so bad. Like the Conjurer's Calling is such an important part of the threat generation for this deck, and it gets burned on the book is just a really low roll here for Samsung on an already kind of bad matchup.
Yeah, and this Dire Frenzy is just going to have a target as well. It doesn't really matter in this matchup what target. Just anything, Leox are fine from Dire Frenzies.
Sure.
That's sort of a worst case, but they're still fine. Here comes the pig.
Oof. Yeah, you like seeing the Huffer. I mean, to Samsung's credit, or to the Morningstar's credit, they at least played out something to challenge the possibility of a Huffer. Yeah. So there's not going to be a Huffer Dire Frenzy nightmare for the Morningstars to deal with. But this is still pretty far behind against the Hunter deck already.
Yes. Imagine if that had been like a Luna or something rather than an MC Tech. I realise that's a different deck archetype pretty much these days, but just showing how the deck has evolved. If that Stargazer Luna, suddenly the Huffer has to trade into it, slows them down a bit, because you can't let it just chill on the board. But here's where we're at, and now Meliador is going to be on a massive defensive.
And they picked up the Book of Specters on the Witch Doctor, which makes sense, and I think they're starting to consider they've got 3 2-drops here that they can utilize. One of them helps them stay alive, the other one helps them create an offense. Do you think they even have time to go for the Book of Specters here, given how much pressure there's already on board for the Hunter?
It's almost the opposite question. It's almost like, do they have time not to? If they're in so much trouble in hand, do they have to try and rip a giant like they have and hope that will stay by? Because their hand wasn't going to do anything just by plopping out Sun Fury Protectors. So yeah, I think it was almost the opposite question.
Yeah, fair question. And now the curve for this, the Dire Frenzy's a good call here. Like you said, you're more than happy to get a 5/7 for 3 mana and dump those into the deck.
Yeah, and it's often overlooked as well because you say exactly what I say every time, but also you're just hitting them with a 5/7 that's on the board. You're just hitting them for an extra 3 immediately in the face, even if you never draw them for the rest of the game, which you will because you've got Master's Calls and things. You're just trashing your opponent's face. There's no healing in the Mage deck. If you can just start using the hero power in 2 or 3 turns' time and just whack them, you know, you're in a good spot. And decision time now, because they've seen one burned Conjurer's Calling, they've seen the Mulligan get rid of a lot of cards. Do you think they've got the other one? If you don't think they've got it, you can win this race just by hitting face.
Yeah, they can turn this. Swagoi can turn this into a race, very easily. But then they also want to respect the Sun Fury Protector? Because if you leave the giant on board, now you have to trade into it. So they're actually going to respect the possibility of this getting taunted up, and Hunter's Mark's really good in this matchup, though.
Oh, yes. And they decide that you're right, and I think you're definitely right. Do decide to make the trade. That is fine. It does respect the second Conjurer's Calling. That's a sign they think they're far enough ahead they don't need to gamble on the race. But they're going to win anyway if there's no calling, so...
Right. Yeah. I mean, watching that first one get burned, I think, was an important part of their Swagoi's decision making, because the odds of having the second one is about 50-50 right now, and that's pretty good odds when you're way ahead on the life count and you're the beatdown and you're playing Hunter, which is notorious for dealing damage in huge chunks in the mid game.
Yeah, and as well as the option to just start pinging bits and pieces. They're not going to need to, so they've got the Unleash the Beast to start getting on the board. They're going to have these traps. They've just got everything you can need, except for maybe currently any burst. That's the only small issue at the moment. That is an ice barrier. That's going to make some sort of difference to the clock.
A little bit. And Unleash the Beast here on 6 is seems perfectly fine. It'll
terrifying if it's counterspell though. If it's counterspell, you might lose the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So they may have to. Yeah, this is a difficult one.
They have to subject 9 and just kind of split it down the middle, because there could be mirror entity as well. But I think you lose less on mirror entity than you do on counterspell.
So they're going for subject 9. They're playing the Timberwolf first. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice. But that's the advantage. That's why Keysmith, even though it's not in the most of the builds at the moment, is such a powerful card, because it is. Even though it got a secret they didn't really want, it still messed with the opposition's plan.
Right. And this is a great Astromancer turn here, Lorenza. This is going to be an 8-mana Astromancer summon, and there's a lot of really good stuff at 8. You don't get the Death Rattle from the Undertaker, but 8/5 is still a big boy to be putting on the board.
Oh, yes. Yes, suddenly things change very quickly, but that Hunter's Mark is there. And this is the Leox can come back later at any point if you want to get an Unleash together with Leox. No point in doing so just yet. But
so I'm kind of reading the tea leaves here, Lorenza, and we were talking about that. Do you trade or do you turn it into a race earlier when that Mountain Giant hit the board? And Swagoi opted to trade and gave initiative back to the Morningstars. And this is starting to actually turn in favor of the Morningstars, I feel like.
Yeah, the race may well have been over by now. I'm not saying who would have won it, but with the Life Drinker in hand and the extra 5 damage to face and a couple of pings, they may have forced Melidor just to trade in. Morningstars may have had to slow down anyway, rather than... You can't win the race if you're forced to trade.
Right.
But now, this is really tough.
Yeah,
there was always an option as well on turn 1 when they tracking. They could have taken misdirection, which may actually have ended up being helpful right about now.
Yeah, misdirection actually coming into play for the first time in Hunter decks since maybe 2014. It's with the amount of just big stuff that's in the meta. Suddenly, misdirection can turn into a 2-for-1 if a giant trades into another giant. So it's found a lot of good use in these Hunter decks. But yeah,
And if it doesn't,
Morning
and Giants
Stars are-
turns around and hits itself in the face, you can't take the 8 to face either.
No, and this is Morningstar's checking the trap here a little bit. They see that it's not freezing trap. It's nothing that triggers when you attack face, so that really limits the possibilities of what it is. And I think they're going to feel really safe playing this second Astromancer here. Ooh, this is going to be big.
Yeah, because we know that there's an extra 8 health basically onto this total, so they're really on 26 right now.
Okay, Morgan is actually not bad. It's also just 23 power on board with no freezing trap, but yeah, like Morgan actually has a decent chance of yanking out one of the giants or a big dragon.
That's a really good point. I tend to just look at stats and forget what the cards are when they're there. It's like, yeah, this card actually does something. Obviously, when it dies, swaps with a minion from the deck. Yeah, that seems decent.
Yeah, and the Astromancers actually kind of create like a defense against the possibility of a freezing trap, because you don't mind getting that back for 9 mana with a full grip. Like that's still a really good play for 9 mana.
And this can still be counterspell, which is why this decision is actually a lot stronger than it looks. It's like, okay, if it's counterspell, we've lost. I think you might have lost anyway.
I think they're gonna they can go down. They can bring Swagoi down to 1 here, if I'm not mistaken. 10 plus the Frostbolt plus the ping brings them to, yeah, that's just shy of 1. But Hunter deck, of course, having no healing, they just traded away the Vicious Scalehide, no more lifesteal. So
Yeah.
this is all but lethal here for the Morningstars with a dated Conjurer Mage deck.
Yeah, but they are still great players on this team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you say, a bit dated, maybe not had time with so much going on to update the decks. That's always an option in some of these tournaments. Yeah, it is currently Letter Meliodor. And I'd like to talk a little tiny bit while we're watching this game reach its inevitable conclusion about Morningstars, because they've got a very... They cover a lot of games, but they have a fairly unique perspective on how to do things. So they signed Bunny Hopper because Bunny Hopper's one of the best Hearthstone players in the world. But with them being an Italian team, and apparently they have this same philosophy across all their teams. So they've got their headline European player, and the other 2 players are up-and-coming Italians.
Yeah.
So they're using it. They admit that the Italian scene is not particularly highly evolved. So they're using their clout as a pretty big organisation to still keep on the name players, but also to develop their national scene. I think that's pretty admirable. I don't think that's something that a lot of teams do.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And to wit, I think probably the most successful Italian player that comes to mind is like Terna, who HCT. So having some up and coming players featured for the Italian community is a great take. I love it. And Frostbolt's going to finish it here, Lorinda. So Samsung Morningstars up 1-0 in this absolutely must-win series. That Dragon Mage that was going to have a hard time getting a win has got to win right out of the gate, Lorinda. So what does that leave available for the Morningstars?
So all they have left now is their own Hunter and their rogue, the purple build, as I was calling it off stream, which is with Wanted and Auctioneers and good rogue cards.
Right.
He was absolutely fine with that 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I don't even want to throw this one out the window. Like this can still be a really powerful deck as long as you don't just hit sheer aggro. I feel like this Miracle Rogue can actually get a lot of things done. Like once you dump 10 Togwaggles into your deck and you've got lackeys to fuel them, you can start just doing nutty stuff.
Yeah, and it's not entirely the old deck. They have sort of thrown in a couple of life drinkers by the look of it. But the deck is just good stuff. Like you've got the backstabs, you've got, as you can see, I'm looking at the deck list, so that's why I'm not looking at you lovely people out there. You've still got miscreants, you've still got backstabs, you've still got deadly poison, deckhand, eviscerate, sap. So you've got plenty of early game management, and then, like you say, you've got that late game, multiple Togwaggles. You've got Myras if you need a bit of burst finish. you've got the same old waggle picks and Dread Corsairs. It's actually a pretty nice deck, but we're not going to see it just yet. Obviously, whenever casters talk about one deck not knowing what's being queued, the other one is always one that is queued.
Yeah, we're going to see the Hunter mirror, and even though we talked about the Morning Stars lineup being a little bit of last month. The Hunter deck is still just really good. I don't think the mid-range Hunter has evolved too terribly much over that time, so this is going to be pretty close to a true mirror. Although there are some noted differences in these decks.
Yeah, the mid Hunter as well, which is not playing Subject 9, is not playing any secrets apart from the Rat Traps, is a deck that is coming back into vogue right now, especially on ladder, but also I think Ball Control is playing something reasonably similar in Grandmasters as well recently. So this deck just has enough tools to do okay against everything. I personally feel that it's one of those decks that's 48% against everything. So,
right, if you're really good with it, it's good enough to win you just about any match. Has no real weak spots, right? Although I gotta say, I am really just a huge fan of Secret Hunter just as a deck. I think it's very much the same. It's if you have a lot of experience with it as a deck, it can win just about anything, and it's favored in a couple of spots where mid-range Hunter isn't. So I like it as a bring in specific strategies, but missing the one drop though as a Secret Hunter against another Hunter is really, really painful.
Yeah, and Samsung are the aggressors in this matchup. I feel the secret version is a lot more controlling, so not being able to challenge that early board is rough.
And Morningstar is actually choosing to hang on to the Headhunter's hatchet charges to start dealing with whatever Swagoi could put on the board. But this Vicious Scalehide is going to actually return a tiny bit of initiative. Although the hatchet's going to answer that, but no 3-play here for the Morning Stars. This is
and that explains their hatchet play as well. They can't just go all into face because they have no way of controlling the board. Yeah, they've got double kill command. Yeah, that's 10 damage. Wonderful. Where's your other 20 damage coming from? Right. It comes from your minions, and where's their minions? Got to find them. So the way to buy more time to find your minions is to keep back your hatchet charges and kill things as they appear on the board.
Ooh, Master's Call offered on the tracking. It's really hard to pass that up, and they go for it. Although it looks like they're going to hold it for next turn and just rely on the steady shot to start applying a little bit of pressure. But clear board for turn 4 for Swagoi. Hard to pass up the life drinker there.
Yeah, and they may have a clear board going into turn 5, which should play their Subject 9 as well. Because Samsung are going to have to take time out to play this Master's Call. Yeah, they might get a 1-drop, a Shimmer Fly or something wonderful. But basically an empty board again next turn.
Yeah, Morningstars really have no choice here. They have to Master's Call. None of these other players are really viable, given the state of the game. And also holding Zul'Jin too. So there's, I feel like they definitely want to get to a point where they can hold this game on just long enough to get a big swing turn from Zul'Jin, and that's going to be they finally got some of their power cards in the hand off of that Master's Call.
Yeah, Hyenas Unleashed doesn't seem like a bad thing to have suddenly turn up in your hand. Definitely going to be of use. Obviously, there should be ways for your opponent to deal with the big hyena. As it happens, there isn't, other than good old-fashioned minion trading.
Right.
But
or
now,
proactive use of Snipe could do it.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plenty of decisions to make now.
Oh yeah, now the Morningstars have plenty of things to work with. Mark Shot though is going to pretty much commit the entire turn to this effect, and they'll pick up. Well, Animal Companion is more pressure. They managed to clear the board off this Arcane Shot.
Yeah, and of course they can't use the coin. They know that's a great chance of being a rat trap.
Oh yeah. You never want to play if you haven't triggered the trap yet. You don't want to, play 3 cards and suddenly have a 6/6 and 0 mana to answer it.
Snipe being played just to make sure that this 3/3 survives a lot longer.
And it's always Huffer.
Always Huffer.
But do they trade or do they go face? Well, Huffer always goes face.
Yeah, it's not fun at all right now for Samsung because they haven't had the early game, but they are building up this hand which can do a lot of damage in 1 or 2 turns. Got to start playing those spells to get to that Zul'jin. That'll be the chance that you were talking about.
Yeah, Tundra Rhino into Scavenging Hyena combination, probably in the cards somewhere in the back of their mind, but they've got such a tenuous lead on the board here with just the Huffer, which can be answered by any number of things out of Swagoy's deck. So they're going to see it being answered right here.
Yeah, Swagoy
Dire Frenzy. Oof.
They're just taking the opportunity now they've drawn their Zul'jin to play everything.
Yeah.
Just get all this rubbish out your hand, because most of it is rubbish, let's face it, but it's not rubbish when you have to play around it twice each. Get it all out there, lob a Zul'jin into the fray, and fairly elementary plan, but a good one.
Oh yeah, and although I have seen this kind of backfire for the Secret Hunter, because if the Secret Hunter's opponent doesn't trigger the traps, then you lose those replay values off of the Zul'jin, and all of these traps have been live for Swagoy this entire game. I don't think we've seen a single one triggered, if I recall.
I think you're right. I think that's all that's been there the whole time. Another thing that can go wrong if you're not careful with Zul'jin, although we're not in that spot at the moment, if you get too many Unleash the Beasts, you can just die to Unleash the Hounds plus buffs plus Rhino, and who cares that you've got all these traps, which is going to kill you until you die from it.
But having 2 animal companions come out of Zul'jin is quite good. So I'm not surprised to see Morningstars want to play that now. And I imagine they'll probably hesitate on this tracking because Zul'jin can actually mill you out too if you play both of your trackings and then you end up discarding 8 cards out of your deck because of Zul'jin double casting the 2 trackings you've already played.
Ooh, so throwing the hyena on the bus, I think that's okay. They've realised that Swagoy are not playing many minions, obviously. So your Unleash isn't going to be very good. So in turn, your hyena's not going to be very good. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, and then they once again take a very tenuous lead on the board. Tracking, that 4/4 Spring Paw is pretty attractive.
Yeah, it depends what they want to do with their Zul'jin. There's a chance to take the deadly shot there if they want to. But still going to fight for the board. Not going all in on the Zul'jin.
Still 2 turns away for both of these teams. Snipe gonna once again come down and help protect this Spring Paw, which is more or less a Huffer at this point. It's 4/2 is gonna go to face next turn, and really like Morningstars don't really have a lot to do on this coming turn 8.
In fairness, yeah, both of them sort of run out of steam, and the Zul'jins currently aren't doing a lot. Going to be some exciting kill commands at some point.
Yeah, that's always fun. See, do you win or do you lose off of the kill command roulette? Dire Frenzy would be really nice if they had a minion to put it on.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind going Rhino, Coin, Dire Frenzy. Oh, you can just Rhino. Yeah, you really don't want to trigger the rat.
Yeah, that's they've been playing around the traps this whole time. Being careful not to trigger any of them. And I don't think they're going to want to commit to giving Swagoy a 6/6 with a 4/2 already sitting on board. They look like they were kind of considering just going Unleash for 1 and then Dire Frenzying it for a charging 4/4 play put into the deck.
Yeah, and at that point, do you want to take the 4 damage and use your face? I think you do. It was made for a moment like this.
Seems reasonable. Although now they still have to consider what those traps are, and what effect it's going to have if they send this dog into the face.
Does give them a bit more later game though, which is a handy thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're just going to keep their weapon. They're scared.
Yeah, I kind of like this. Refusing to allow the Secret Hunter to actually play with its cards. Secrets are kind of like playing with their cards on the table. You just put them face down and say, okay, I have these, but I can't play them unless you play along. And
another benefit of playing the Unleash the Hounds is there's a chance you bait your opponents into going wider, not worrying about the second Unleash that's in your hand.
True.
It's
And
sort
then
of a
Zul'jin
little.
will slight
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
games, and Zul'jin will also bring it, be able to recast it at a later time, and also like the tracking sitting in hand is going to have a pretty decent likelihood of picking up those charging 4/4s later on. So
Yeah, I agree. In
as
which
you
case,
said, a
are they
little
just
bit of
playing
an
the one
in-game.
Rhino? I'm just checking. Yeah, they are just playing the one Rhino, so that's why they're having to protect it so hard.
Yeah, right.
But also, with no minions in hand, how much value does that Rhino really have?
Yeah, I mean, and you've already put charging minions into the deck, and you've already lost one of your hyenas, which is the high-profile target for the Tundra Rhino. So yeah, like at what point do you just commit it and then you know get rid of some of this unrealized value from these secrets?
So I think the plan would be to play it the turn before you Zul'jin, and then hope your animal companions are good. But again, you might get Huffer anyway.
I think they're gonna coin Zul'jin here. Actually,
Doing it.
And just
Yeah.
let's just go. I'm the first one to play the hero card wins, maybe.
Yeah, in the case of Zul'jin, that's not always the case.
Oh
Oops.
no! Oh, whoops! I mean, I don't think they're sad getting 1 mana 7/7s, but I think they would have rather have seen Animal Companion first, and then the Dire Frenzy.
It's a bit of a shame.
And then the Master's Call gets replayed to get some of those minions back.
Cool, you can get your opponent's 7/7 for their 4/4s out there.
I think they got their regular one though. They got just the 1/1.
Well, now I've got a whole handful of stuff anyway. Even a bad
Not that-
Zul'jin is good, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's not the best Zul'jin, but it's still kind of neutralizing the board. They actually lost the links there to the freezing trap, bouncing it with 10 cards in hand. So, there's the rat trap too.
Now
They're
they're
trying to
just
avoid
like-
this whole time.
But now they don't care. They feel this is their chance with the board being pretty big. They've got rid of most of the secrets. Here's our chance to go face and get some damage in. But everything's going all over the place.
Oh, oof, that's
I'm not
a
sure
lot
that's
of
why they
damage.
shouldn't have gone in the first place, though.
I mean, true. You want to kind of use your health as a resource to remove some of that tempo from your opponent's board. But now with all these traps cleared, Lorenza, as we were talking about, now Zul'jin's going to be able to recast them all
Yeah.
and cause all kind of havoc for the Morning Stars.
Yeah, this is not pretty right now. 24 health, so even if things go a bit weird, it's still a good Zul'jin. And they should have enough tempo on board. They haven't played. I'm trying to think. The Caster's Nightmare, remembering all the spells that people have played because you always forget one or two.
Yeah, I think that's probably what Swagoya is also doing right now. They're probably calculating, going over in their head what they've played. We've seen 4 secrets. We just saw them all triggered, and I think we've actually seen them play all 5 that are in the deck, plus a Dire Frenzy.
Yeah, I don't think they played a whole lot of like animal
Mark
companions or
shot?
deadly shots and stuff.
I think we definitely saw a marked shot at some point.
Okay.
So that's one. But yeah, so it's wouldn't be a huge Zul'jin. So they actually gonna go for developing the board a little bit here because I think they want the Dire Frenzy in the Zul'jin pool to recast later. I don't think they want to pull the trigger on Zul'jin unless they have that.
Playing the second rat trap's clever as well because they're well aware that obviously Samsung have just filled their hand right up with stuff. And so, sure, you want to play your stuff? I want another 6/6. And then I'm going to play Zul'jin and get another 6/6 in a turn of 2's time.
Yep, and then once again using the links to the Spring Paw to check the trap to if it's a snipe or not. Hyena gonna maybe get powered up finally here. The other one got lost to a snipe earlier, so this one actually might be able to stick.
Yeah, the decision here is how do we kill the second rat trap? They're trying to save the mana. Just proc it, get it out of the way. That's always a good way with secrets. If you can get rid of them, just get rid of them so they don't continuously hamper your future.
So if they use the other Dire Frenzy here, they can actually use that in conjunction with Zul'jin's hero power to clear the board and power up this Hyena a little bit. So now Zul'jin is the only remaining play for Swagoi, given what they have in hand. So it's going to be Zul'jin or bust here.
Yeah, I tend to forget Zul'jin has a hero power because usually you play Zul'jin and your opponent concedes.
Yeah, it happens
You
frequently
don't get
enough.
to the next, or you have all these cards in hand and the 10 mana. You don't need the 2 to shoot anything, so you don't get to see it very often.
Yeah, I don't know how many people remember the Steam Weedle Sniper that saw almost no play, which did the same thing and allowed the hero power to target, whatever.
Yeah, oddly enough,
so-
it's a card I do remember. I don't remember cards from yesterday, but Steam Weedle Sniper, yeah.
You can't remember cards of the current set, but you can remember cards from 2014, surely.
How would that not make sense?
I don't even, Lorinda, I don't even know what set that was from. That was maybe Nax, maybe no, Goblins versus Gnomes. Yeah, it was a Goblin card.
Sort of era. I was still playing Arena, which is why I remember it.
Ah, well, there you go. I mean, when
I haven't
you're
played
scumming
Arena
Arena, you kind of
a
know all
long
the weird
time.
cards.
Yeah, that was good. I knew all the cards back then. I mean,
Swagoi
of course,
is-
as a caster, I know all the cards now.
So I go really taking their time on this this Zul'jin. If there are any decisions they can make on the Zul'jin after it's played, they're not going to have any time to play him. The rope's just about done.
I've got a feeling they haven't got any decisions though. Well, this Hyena's not going face for a while.
Oh no, the Hyena. Yeah, they do have the benefit of the freezing trap, but if they
And
they
this
have
direction as well.
yeah, but they could trigger ouch big. That oh my goodness.
I think that's what the pause is about. They knew what was going to happen.
Right.
I mean, what else do you want to do? Do you want to play a spin
Yeah.
core and just lose?
But the problem is that the Morning Stars have charging hounds from the Unleash the Hounds that they dire-fringed earlier, so they can use that to proc the traps
Yeah.
and protect this Scavenging Hyena. This could be an explosive turn for the Morning Stars. Okay, checking the snipe first.
Nice.
Get and they get the charge from the Rhino, right? So this will trigger the rest of the traps, and should allow the Hyena to hit home. Well, there's
Yeah,
still misdirection though.
The
So
misdirection could be an accident. You'll just lose the game should the misdirection go wrong here.
yeah, so they still have to play the Hound to play around it. And of course, the Rat Trap is going to get triggered here.
Yeah, this looks nice though.
Yeah,
Hyena
so
still is able to attack. It was played last turn, obviously.
Yeah,
Super ordering there.
yeah. This is a fantastic sequence from the Morning Stars. This really speaks to the strength of these players. They that's interesting interaction. Your weapon actually hits misdirected minions.
I
That
knew
is-
that, but I wouldn't have got it. I wouldn't have seen it coming. Like,
That is such a random, like, very corner case effect in Hearthstone. But yeah, that happens. So they lose a minion and they took the face damage from the misdirection. And this 1612 is firmly stuck on the board.
Yeah.
Is there anything in Swagoy's deck that can remove this minion?
And I'm assuming there's a Hunter's Mark or a Deadly Shot, but
Or could they just win? I don't think they can. There's no way for them to win out of hand. Yeah, this is
yeah,
just
it's only the Deadly Shot.
Misha's not gonna save them. They've got Morningstar's got enough ways in hand to deal with the Misha to get the taunt out of the way. So this one's gonna be another game for the Morningstars, going up 2-0 to stay alive in this playoff race, Lorinda.
Yeah, from where they're sat, they have to trade into the Hyena and get it down to 4 health, which they can do, and hope there's not one of the million ways to kill a 4/4 left in the deck. They're not even going to go for that.
No, they're just gonna hope that it's enough, and unfortunately, it is not.
2-0.
So-
Who said these old decks are bad?
Proof positive that the player is far more important than the deck. So even a middling under tier deck can still get you there. So this leaves the Morning Stars with just the Miracle Rogue. And if there's any deck in this lineup, Lorinda, that I want 3 chances to win with, it's the Miracle Rogue.
Yeah, I want to see this deck anyway. I really enjoyed it when Purple was streaming. Very similar. The Wanted is like the headline card that says this is Purple's deck. It's just an interesting deck to watch and play, and it is strong. And like you say, you'd want the 3 chances, but you've got to fancy their chance. They can even outdo Warrior occasionally with this deck. Shame we don't get to see the Zoo, because I want to say how bad Rafam is in Zoo.
Well,
But I'm not going to mention the bad Rafam because it's not topical when the bad Rafam isn't being played. It's bad.
Well, we'll start a podcast called Rafam is Bad, and we'll spend every episode talking about why Rafam is bad.
That'd be fantastic. I think I've got a season's content. If we run out, we just call Sottle up. Sure, he'll join in.
We can even do it as a series, right? Like a 10-part series,
10-part
series. Endpoint, because I don't know if I could do that forever. But...
Covering all the corner cases of why having a load of legendaries when you die next turn is.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where random legendaries sounds nice, but is a trap, and that's very important to the Miracle Rogue actually, because one of the treasures that you're looking for is, I don't know, talk about cards we don't remember the names of, but one of the treasures will summon duplicate random legendaries.
Yes.
You discover for it, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. And hopefully with multiple Togwaggles, you get multiple tries at it, but doesn't always work out.
One of the ways you can play, let me get this right, though. We're in the game. Keep an eye on how massive this stupid Edwin's going to be, and do you want to risk against Deadly Shot is actually a very pressing question, though. One of the things you can do with this deck with the 1 Togwaggle scheme, especially against the Warrior, but against anybody, is get the multiple Togwaggles. With your first Togwaggle, you take the treasure that fills your hand up with one of the cards. So you get a handful of Togwaggles. And then with the second one, you take the thing that makes things... Oh, yeah, so the first one, you make them into zeros.
Yep.
Then you draw a handful of 0-cast Togwaggles. And then you start making legendaries for 0 mana.
Yeah.
So there's this 3-step process towards just beating anything.
And let's not also forget that Togwaggle himself is just a 5/5. So being able to play 0 mana 5/5s, historically a good thing to do in Hearthstone. So it has ways to win. But yeah, this is not a prep. If the Morningstars could just draw a prep here, this hand would be so powerful with this Van Cleef sitting around. But at the moment,
I'm fine with just backstab, play the Kobold Lackey,
yeah,
and just chill. Yeah, this is actually better because it keeps back your lackeys for your Van Cleef powering up on turn 5.
Right, and then just taking beasts off the board versus Hunter to try to get to an end game, always a good idea.
Yeah, and this isn't the normal rogue build where you're under a massive pressure to do the damage quite quickly. It's going to do the damage quickly, but you're just going to have this massive board anytime soon. You've got to be a bit scared of Unleash the Hounds, but you've just got so much follow-up as well. I like just dropping Blink Fox here and seeing what my hand's doing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just challenge the Life Drinker and maybe generate a card of some value. And don't be surprised to see the Morningstars hang on to these lackeys, because the last thing you want to do is play these lackeys out early on as tempo plays and then not have any way to fuel your Togwaggles, because remember, you have to control a lackey for Togwaggle's battle cry to function. So sometimes you use them as utility pieces, sometimes you just hang on to them for late game, and I guess the Morningstars feel like the pressure from the Hunter's worth answering in order to burn one of the... Basically, they're burning the Shadow Step here out of their hand to handle the Life Drinker.
Yeah, interesting.
Oh, they're going to make a big Van Cleef.
Yeah, big Edwin. Hard to deal with. Deadly Shot doesn't deal with it. There is no Hunter's Mark in this deck, so that makes that a lot more explainable.
And
that's
then
a word, right?
Having... Yeah, I added it to the dictionary just now, just for
Thanks. You. Appreciate that.
I have that power. And also this having a 3-minion spread protects or helps them deal with Freezing Trap. So they can't just answer the lone Edwin with the Freezing Trap to get bounced. They'd have to use that in conjunction with some rush minions, which they don't have in hand right now.
Yeah, and the nightmare here is you could kill it quite convincingly with, say, Subject 9 and then Scale High take out something, and your misdirection and your freezing trap will sort it out. But Meliodor's just going to dump a load more stuff on the board in the meantime, so that whole plan doesn't work. So you're not even talking about killing this over 2 turns, you're talking about killing it over 3. Maybe with a Scale High healing you up with a Dire Frenzy as some sort of out to make it go to 4 turns.
Well, the unfortunate reality of math is that 3 turns of Edwin is 24 damage.
Right.
So
yeah,
Swagoi is in a heap of trouble if they can't answer this Edwin anytime soon.
I hate it when math does that.
Right, and
It's
then
not
the
fair.
sap is even going to protect the Edwin from being traded away. Like the Subject 9 being on board plus a kill command would do it. So now that's out of the picture, and Swagoi is back to the drawing board on how to answer this huge board.
Yeah, they're going to be back to the drawing board on the whole of House Rivalries at this rate, because this is a do or die situation, and they're looking like they're going to just go 0-3 and out in this game.
Yeah, because this is plus Leroy, actually, Lorinda. This is lethal. This is 13 on board plus 6 from Leroy. It's just that's just game.
See you in season 3.
Swagoi just
I'm
really,
so nasty.
I mean, and you know that has to be in the back of their minds. Like, are we just dead to Leroy? That is always a question you ask when you're facing off against Rogue.
Right,
And
so
the
thing
answer right
here
now is yes.
to do is just go, okay, Leroy is not a Hearthstone card. If it is, we can't do anything about it. There's no point fending off the Leroy, because we're dead if they've got it anyway. Even if it's not this turn, we're going to be dead to Leroy over 2 or 3 turns. So how do we beat the hands that don't contain a Leroy? And this is the way. This is like, try to get lucky.
Yeah, and actually, this is, you know, the snipe will kill the Leroy. The freezing trap will protect them from something, or not the freezing trap, the misdirection. But it's just gonna land harmlessly on the Blink Fox.
Yeah,
So
we
there's
saw how
11
Morning
damage.
Stars played around secrets last game anyway. I wouldn't expect them to make any crazy mistakes with their Leroy here. We'll probably just see them whip out the Ziliax just to get rid of things. Just checking out, is a Ziliax? Yes, it is. Just to get rid of any problems. Or even the Lackey, sure. That's even better.
Yeah.
Because that actually gets its effect in.
Yeah, that takes care of the snipe that allows them to play the Leroy next turn to deliver the lethal. Once again, really great sequencing, playing around those traps from the Hunter, and yeah, this is just so tough for Swagoi.
Meliodor and Letter just had really quietly good seasons last year. They were names that came out to me whenever I was going through results that they were just doing fine all year without that big breakout performance that you'd hope for, but bubbling under nicely. They're just showing here how good they are.
And the marked shot does not generate anything that will allow Swagoi to escape the inevitable here. This looks like it's going to end up being a 3-0 for the Samsung Morningstars. So Bunny Hopper was potentially going to come back and help out with this matchup. Turns out not necessary.
Yeah, we got this, Bunny. We don't care. We don't need you.
Last minute desperation freezing trap, but the Blink Fox is going to handle it. Edwin's going to go in. Loretta, we talked about this miracle rogue and how it works, but sometimes you just win on an Edwin.
I mean,
you just do rogue things.
The card that we saw that would have given away that was a miracle rogue in the whole game. That could just have been any guy playing any rogue deck on ladder.
Right, like I think there was some commentary about, you know, how similar rogue decks are today as they were all the way back to the beginning of Hearthstone, because rogue cards are just that good, and there are even some competitive players who think that Edwin Van Cleef doesn't belong in Hearthstone anymore, because he just does things just like this.
I write for the top 20 legendaries article for PC Gamer once every few months. And every time I make some sort of sarcastic comment about Edwin, not even in a nasty way, it's like, there are 4 cards that need nerfing, they're going to nerf 3 of them, Edwin lives again. And it's always not quite high enough up the ladder to actually be got rid of. It's always just slightly less powerful than all the things they want to nerf. It's really weird how it works out every single time to survive.
Right. Well, here to talk to us about the power level of Rogue and how the Samsung Morningstars won that series, we're going to bring it back to Robobson and Green Sheep on the analyst desk. So take it away.
Thank you so much, Cinder. That was a much faster series for us to watch than they did, and honestly, I don't feel like there's too much we have to say apart from in game one specifically. I think you had some thoughts on that one in particular.
Yeah, I think it was turn 6 where Swagoi could have played the Unleash the Beast to clear up the Undertaker. But they chose to, just play down a Rat Trap, which Rat Trap in that matchup really doesn't do that much because there's not. I don't think the mage is ever going to play 3 cards because it's not a Cyclone Mage.
Yeah, they have a lot of they have a lot of very expensive minions, which they can just play 1 per turn and be very happy. Just play 1 card per turn.
So basically that turn they didn't do anything. Basically, they just passed the turn over, played a rat, they tracking, and then played something else that didn't really impact the board much. And then from that point on, the mage just took over. The mage just played an Astromancer, kept pressuring and consolidating their board, and from that point on, there was no coming back. Yep.
The mage just played big things without doing anything particularly unfair. The hunter, just because they took the kind of very slow approach of playing that rat trap, playing the master's call, trying to get resources, the mage just took the opportunity to go, okay, you can't kill this. Well, how can you kill another 2 big minions? Another 2 5/5s? Dr. Morrigan could have just pulled another giant from the deck if that had died. But then game 2 with the Hunter Mirror, it was kind of just a case of, the mid-range Hunter drew Master's Call, so their Zul'jin was a lot better. The Secret Hunter didn't draw Master's Call, so theirs was pretty weak. And then game 3, the Rogue versus the Hunter. I think that came down a lot to the way the Hunter was built more than the other ones. It was kind of just lacking the secrets, which are particularly good against Rogue, and also the fact that in the tracking, when they had the option of 2 Rat Traps or a Zul'jin, maybe they could have gone with a Rat Trap, because that is a very powerful card against Rogue, and would have done something against contesting the big Edwin, which ended up just killing them. Zul'jin is a very powerful card, but it's also very slow, and you need to do something between turn 1 and turn 10 to get there. And they did.
Yeah. Game 3, pretty much you couldn't do anything. There was no answer to the Edwin. It's a pretty straightforward game, and not much to say about it. But I think the Samsung Galaxy Morningstars, they played quite well in the series. I think that
I agree.
It led to them getting the 3-0.
Yeah, it was just, I think, the better team won.
Yeah,
but with that said, we've still got a bit of time before the rest of the round 8 of Swiss finishes up, because that was quite a quick series, I believe. So we're going to throw this to break now, and when we come back, we'll just decide once and for all who's going to make it to the playoffs for the top 12. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everyone, to House Rivalries EU Season 2. We are at the final round of Swiss, round 9. After this match and this round are concluded, we will know for sure the 12 teams that are going to top the bracket and head into the playoffs that will be playing out next weekend right here on this channel. So once again, joined by my super ultra friend, Lorinda. Welcome back, sir.
It's good to be back already. That was quick.
So, yeah, like we actually resolved that bracket, that round fairly quickly. I'm happy to say, and this matchup coming up, Lorinda, is another do or go home for the two teams. This is going to be Helsinki Reds versus the Oslo Lions. Both teams at 5 and Helsinki at 5-3, Oslo also at 5-3. Yes, so if one of these teams loses, that's going to go down to tiebreakers, and tiebreaking at 5-4 is a tricky situation. So both of these teams really want to win this game, Lorinda.
Yeah, and it's two high-powered teams as well. Obviously, a lot of people don't necessarily know which teams players are on. When I read out these names, you'll know most of the players. So Helsinki is the small matter of Zump, Vardu, and Janetski. Zump in particular made a splash by just doing incredibly well, winning DreamHack Winter 2017 and then reaching 16, I don't know, years. And then the next summer, he instantly made another top 16 straight away. Vardu reached the final in Italy, lost to that guy, Hunter Ace or something. And then Janetski, the HGG regular, founder of the name Finland is Winland. The commonly used phrase. And so Helsinki just got an absolutely star-studded lineup. The Oslo Lions, I'm not sure yet. I'll get it in my ears shortly, I'm sure, who's representing them today. But the lineup is RD, regular on the circuit, same as Afi, Alex Noah, well known for Pirate Warrior in particular back in the day, but also master of aggro decks in general. Tom Marino, whose name I can never pronounce, but I'm going to call him Tom a lot.
Tom.
And one or two other players in that lineup. So plenty of great players there. And we've already seen when you get the great players, we saw Meliador and Letta, they didn't need Bunny Hopper to show how good they were.
Right. And this is going to be another situation where the skill and the experience of these teams is going to matter, because Helsinki's lineup, I feel like they kind of low rolled into Oslo's series. We're looking at, after the bans, Dragon Conjurer Mage, Control Warrior, Nomi Priest for Helsinki versus Oslo's Dragon Mage as well. Secret Hunter Tempo Rogue. And just looking at the numbers, Lorinda, this looks like an uphill challenge for Helsinki, to say the least.
It does, and even the small details, like the Rogue has Spirit of the Shark in it, which is just extra percentage points on top of the basic percentage points. So does indeed look like it's good for Oslo, but we've seen quite a lot in this meta. I don't think we've got used yet to the fact that a 55% shot is a 55% shot, not, oh my goodness, we're still at the stage where we're still learning about the meta, even though we all think we know it inside out.
Right.
And small changes make massive differences to percentages. So we'll have to wait and see how the match actually plays out.
Yeah, so we're going to have to see whether or not Helsinki can get a win with this Chef Nomi Priest, because it is a deck that has been traditionally brought against Warrior, and they have opted to ban the Warrior from Oslo Lions. So where does this Nomi Priest fit into the strategy? We're going to have to see. Just waiting for the competitors to jump into game. We're almost there, folks. Remember, this is round 9, final round of Swiss going in, and we're going to jump into the casters now as the game is about to start. Green Sheep and Rabobson, take it away.
Thank you, Cinder. Thank you for your wonderful introduction, and looking forward to getting this on the road with Mr. Green Sheep here alongside me once again. Just a little thing I want to talk about before we get right into the match. The Nomi Priest is, of course, in the lineup, and the Warrior is